I gotta tell you guys, I was laying in bed this morning and I all of a sudden started getting all of these messages all on every possible platform saying, Carlin, Tim Pool is live right now talking about what happened last night. And I was like, mother effer, it's way too early for this. I am a night owl. I stay up until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't get out of bed before noon for anything. Okay, I usually do get out of bed before noon, but not to jump to Tim Pool's schedule and do a live reaction just because he's gone live at 11 a.m. It's a Saturday, man. It is a Saturday. I have weekends too. But I do actually want to watch what Tim Pool said. As you guys know, I've kind of been just I find the psychology of this entire situation fascinating. I really do. I have people that I'm talking to people who are close to this situation. And so I have more information than what has been released publicly, but I find the public streams on it to be really, really fascinating. And I have to tell you guys, so those of you who know, I streamed Adam's kind of tell all last night. I came out completely on Adam's side. I have always been on Adam's side, regardless of whatever beef him and I have over something that is not this. I have been on Adam's side of this from the very beginning, from the moment that Tim fired him. I've always said that Adam is in the right, Tim is wrong, and nothing about last night changed that. And I got to tell you, after last night's stream, so I streamed Adam's stream for probably about 3.5 hours last night. I ended the stream early because I didn't want to oh, you do, huh? Oh, you do. That doesn't exist. So we're just gonna block you. Guys, we're gonna go over to the rules of the chat in a second. But one of the most disturbing things about Adam's stream last night actually happened after I stopped streaming. And I don't know how many of you stayed until the end of Adam's stream last night. We're talking like the 6 hour, 8 minute mark. Tim Pool chatted in and tried to gaslight Adam live on the stream. And it was deeply disturbing to me to watch Adam's reaction to that. And we're going to watch that before we watch Tim's response video. And so, like, I guess I just want to keep unpacking this situation again. I have more people talking to me behind the scenes, so I actually know more about this. I'm not going to reveal anyone else's stories. That's theirs to reveal. It's not mine. But I do find the psychology of what Tim Pool has done to his employees to be just like really fascinating from an organizational psychology perspective. This is just one of the more interesting cases I've seen. So of course I need to follow this through. I want to see what Tim said on this stream. I dipped in and out of it just to see if Tim was still streaming, but I didn't listen to any of it because I wanted to do a genuine reaction. And so we're going to talk about that here. We're going to talk about and watch, and we might fast forward because I'm told that Tim rambles a little bit at the beginning, but we're going to watch this stream that Tim just did this morning starting at around 11 o'clock. And don't worry, guys, if Tim tries to take this down, I do actually have a backup. As soon as Tim went off the air, I immediately downloaded it and I have a backup. So just in case the stream comes down, I do have a backup copy of it. But I really do want to watch the live stream because I want to watch the chat too. I'm not only interested in what Tim Pool's response is, I also want to see what the chat's response is to Tim. And I really think that Adam is going to come out on top of this one. I really do. But we're going to watch and see. Gerald says, Tim proved his passive aggressiveness last night. He also proved his narcissism today. Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard that Tim talked a lot about himself and how great Tim is and how big of a tipper he is and all of these things. So we're going to find out. Listen, after last night's stream, I firmly think that Tim is a narcissist. I really do. And as I said last night on my debrief, that's not Tim's fault. So I'm not saying that Tim is a bad person because he is a narcissist, but I am saying that people need to be aware of what he is and why he's doing the things that he's doing. And it is, at the end of the day, all about control. Every nice thing that Tim has ever done for Adam has been about keeping Adam under control. And I think, you know what, before we dig into this, I actually want to watch the end of Adam's stream last night, and I want to talk about what happened at the end, because again, like a bunch of you messaged me last night. They were like, Carlin, you have to watch the last like couple of minutes of the stream when Tim super chatted in. And I did watch it last night a couple times, and I have to say I was deeply and profoundly disturbed by what I saw in Adam's reaction. And so we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I want to go over the rules of my chat. Now, unlike Tim Pool and unlike Adam, I do not have an unmoderated chat. So for those of you who are new to me, those of you who haven't been on one of my streams before, I like to keep my chat nice for everyone. Not only nice for me, but nice for the other people in it. So I have 2 rules of my chat for you to be able to participate. Number 1, don't be a dick. Do not insult me. Do not insult other people in the chat. I don't really care if you insult the people that were watching, but you will keep this a nice environment for anyone. I don't want shit talking. I don't want insults. I don't want slurs. I don't want any of that at all. I am way too old to deal with this shit. If you guys want an unmoderated chat, you are welcome to keep that over on Tim's channel. You will not bring that to my channel. Number 2, no whining. If I ask you to stop doing something, I don't want to hear, I'm not doing the thing you just asked me to stop doing, because yes, you are doing the thing that I just asked you to stop doing, which is why I asked you to stop doing it in the first place. So don't be a dick, no whining, and that's it. Those are the only 2 rules I have. I don't think they're hard to follow. If you do either of these things, I will either give you a timeout or I might block you immediately, depending on how I feel about it. And I do have a bunch of mods in the chat that know the rules as well. So just keep it cool, guys. Keep it cool. Keep it chill, okay? Like, the nonsense doesn't help anyone. All right. So I want to, well, before we actually start this, I just want to say too, so this is not my usual Saturday stream, as many of you know. And I just want to make a note, like, I'm not going to do like support my work or anything like that on this, but I do just want to let you guys know that Socialism Saturday will still be happening today. I do a regular Saturday stream called Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to make sure we wrap up this stream in time for Socialism Saturday. And I promise you that Socialism Saturday is way more interesting than what we're going to do on this stream. We watch real socialism. This week, we're going to be watching a crazy video of like young communists talking about trans liberation and the communist future. I swear to God. So this is actually going to be much more interesting, I think, than what we're about to do right now. And I hope that some of you will join me for Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. when we go back to work and doing the real stuff. But the first thing I want to do today is I want to watch the last couple of minutes from Adam's stream from last night, because I want you guys to all be able to see this. And I've got the chat set up here, so we should be able to see the chat come in as well. I am starting this stream around 6 hours and 7 minutes. And this is like, Adam has been basically answering super chats for like 3 hours at this point. And I'm really glad everyone gave Adam so much support last night. Listen, again, his and my beef aside, which is not about this particular situation, it's about something else. I am really glad that Adam told his story. I have always said it. I thought it was going to be like a weight off his chest. I thought he was going to feel a lot better. And I think you can see that. We're going to start this about 30 seconds before Tim super chats in. And what you're going to see is like, Adam is relaxed. He's comfortable. There's almost like a sense of relief about him. Like he probably felt like the whole experience of telling his story finally after 2 years was like liberating for him. I mean, also like very draining, but just like there's like an ease about him. And then what you're going to see is Tim super chat in to try to gaslight Adam. And I want you guys to watch Adam's body language when that happens, because his whole body instantly tensed up. And for me, what I saw in it was someone who had been in an abusive relationship, and they just saw the person who had been abusing them like walk into the room, and their whole body's like that. That's what I saw. Okay. But I want to know what you guys saw. Let's watch it and let's see what happened.
I'm super chatting. Love you, brother. Keep up the damn fine work. Jack-o'-lantern, thank you. Hey, Nick Weiser, 32 flavors of Nick Weiser coming in hot. Says just dropping by to support. Thanks for being you, dude. Thanks, buddy. We got to reschedule. I think I got COVID last time you were supposed to. No, what was it? I don't know if it was COVID. I think I just got mad sick. I'm still alive, Jack. I know. I'm about to get off. I got one last super chat. Toxic Manflu says, I missed the first 3 hours. Can you go over that again? No, I'm out. That was it. No more super chats. I can't speak
Like Adam
anymore.
is relaxed.
You guys are crazy. I need to go make some tea.
He's loose.
I love you all.
Watch what
Seriously,
happens
love
now.
you all. I feel great. I got that shit out of the way. Still not light yet, so seriously, thank you guys for supporting. Brahma Bull, you the man, Adam. Thank you. Great stream. Appreciate you, man.
There's Tim Pool. Tim Pool super chats
all right,
in.
Guys, I got to get out of here.
That's really is Tim Pool too, because it's the chat. That really is him.
Oh, Tim Pool just super chatted me $100. What's up, Tim?
Look at Adam's eyes.
Tim says, last I knew, we were cool. You and Nish had still helped with my song. You guys decided to leave and took Herman Osiris to Sweden. Could have called me if you were upset. Hope you're well. Thank you, Tim. You know, Tim, I could tell you didn't actually watch this stream. If you did, you would understand why talking to you isn't the easiest thing. I don't even know if it's the real Tim Pool. No, he's got a check mark. It is Tim's. It is Tim.
It was really Tim. Look at Adam's body language.
Interesting turn of events. Well, I wasn't expecting to see you here, Tim. I'm curious to see if he actually watched the stream or if he just chimed in right at the end.
He looks like he's going to cry.
Oh, well. Interesting, man. Cheers to you. Malcolm McKee says, somehow Wicker knew
there are two
about
more
the
super
Lydia
chats.
drama and mentioned it as if he saw this from the future. He made sure not to use names to avoid a paradox. Interesting.
Yeah. I found this extremely hard to watch.
Tim said again for 20. It said, I didn't know you were doing a stream or mad. I was out and someone mentioned you were streaming, wanted to say what's up.
Yeah, Tim
but
didn't know.
I don't know what you were talking about.
Bullshit.
Come on, dude.
Even Adam's like, no.
Oh, come on. When was the last time you super chatted me, Tim? You know? Ever? Come on. Don't play that. Like, I could get the first super chat, but this one? Come on, man.
Tim's trying to gaslight Adam.
Tim, I've got a lot of respect for you, dude. And I'm grateful for what you gave to me. And because watch the episode if you really want to get my perspective on this. This episode wasn't to patch things up with you. This episode was to tell the people that I fucking love, the chat that we built together, what happened to me because you didn't give me that out. So it's late for me. It's 7 a.m. and I'm tired. And I'm not gonna deal with that shit. Toxic Man Flu for $50 says, love you, brother. Thank you very much. Hey, but Tim, thank you for that support in the super chats. And in the past. Cranberry Langers says, hope everything works out for you guys. Thank you. I do too. Upstream of Culture says, space may look like it separates things when in fact it merely defines them. Enjoy the space that you've been given to define yourself. Tim says, but it was never enough. 250K. It wasn't enough. A house, a studio.
Tim thought this was all about money.
Dog, it wasn't about the money, man. You can't throw money at every fucking problem, man. That's your issue. You clearly didn't listen to my show, and I don't care.
I agree,
anymore.
Alec. And then Adam just went offline. That's it. That was what happened. So basically, Tim was trying to gaslight Adam. He was trying to gaslight Adam. That is one of the most toxic bullshit moves I've ever seen in my life. Tim wants to claim that he didn't know Adam was doing a stream. Tim fucking knew about. I'll tell you this. I would bet you all the money in my bank account. Not only did Tim know, the only reason Tim cared is because Adam had 10,000 people watching that stream, and he is up over 100,000 views now. You know what? Good for Adam. Good for Adam. And I bet you that the only reason that Tim decided to do this response at 11 a.m. on a Saturday unannounced is because Tim is probably receiving massive, massive, massive backlash from this. Tim doesn't respond to things like this. He doesn't respond to hit pieces. He doesn't respond to drama. He doesn't, even with the Jack Murphy stuff, there was never a response. I guarantee you the only reason that Tim did this was because Tim is receiving massive backlash from Adam's stream last night. That's why he did this. Jamie Honeybunny, a member of my channel for 8 months. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie says, Tim seemed very calm and clear on his side of the story. Much was left out on Adam's story. If Adam is a total victim, then Tim is a sociopath. Listen, the only part of this that I have heard, I heard Adam's side of the story when it happened. I watched Adam's side of the story last night. I have not yet heard Tim's side of the story, and so I am going to keep an open mind. But what I do want everyone to really understand is I am talking to Tim's ex-employees behind the scenes. So I have way more information on this that I'm not going to release because these are not my stories to tell, and these people have done nothing to me, and they've trusted me with their confidence. But I will say this, that I have confirmation from people behind the scenes that what Adam said is the truth. And I know more about this situation than probably anyone is comfortable with me knowing, if we're being honest about it. Again, I'm not going to reveal their stories. Those are not my stories to tell. Those people are not public people. Well, really. And they came to me in confidence to talk about what happened. But these are not the only sources that I have on this. So while I am keeping an open mind about what we are going to watch from Tim today, I don't really foresee any reality in which I'm going to come around and say Adam is wrong and Tim is right. I just don't foresee that reality at all because I have known about some of this stuff since the beginning, and I have always and perpetually been on Adam's side from the very beginning. So we'll see what happens. But guys, let's go ahead and watch this stream. Mount that like button if you feel so inclined. I do hear that Tim rambles on a little bit at the beginning. And so I might end up fast forwarding to get to the stuff that we actually want to see. Also, I am going live at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. And so I want to make sure I'm able to get to Socialism Saturday by 6 p.m. So there are time limitations and constraints. But I might fast forward through the first bit. But I do want to see the chat, and I want to see the reaction of the chat. And of course, I will be looking at you guys in my chat for reactions as well. Let's get started.
So this past week, is audio working? I don't even know. Nobody's here. It's the holiday. It's Saturday. So I don't even know what works. But and this past week, I just been hanging out at the casino, and it sucks because there's nothing to do. You know, here's what happens with holidays. Everybody's with their family. So in the couple days leading up to Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, nobody's watching. And so there's a conflict between the amount of energy and effort that was required to go into producing a show versus what's being done, like how many people are watching. And so it's tough because, you know, to the dedicated fans and viewers of your show, You're like, those are the ones who deserve it the most, that we're going to make sure we work through these holidays. And then your family and your friends want to do something. So this Thanksgiving, we had a Friendsgiving kind of.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care.
For me, I just been chilling.
I don't care.
Always is. I just ignore it. I live.
Oh, drama. Okay, hang on.
I kind of feel bad that I'm even getting mentioned in the same phrase, in the same sentences as Matt Walsh, James Lindsay, or Libs of TikTok. I'm like, guys, I tweeted one thing. Like, I do not regularly talk about this stuff. I don't focus on it. I am not the leading activist calling it out, but we talk about it. And I'm like, I do a series of tweets where I'm like, stop calling for violence. Like, it's really bad. Really the better option. And these days it's like, maybe it's DeSantis, maybe it's Trump. DeSantis for a
don't care
gun guy. I'm like very staunchly pro 2A because
don't care
about, actually I was in the casino and there was, they were playing Mo Money, Mo Problems. That's a classic song. The more money we come upon, the more problems we see. And then I started thinking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk announced.
Don't care.
I want Timcast News to get that as well, if any other news outlet's going to get it. But anyway, yeah, we're going to give all of our core talent, all of our shows, we're going to get them verified. And so we'll probably end up spending, look, if we have like 30 accounts, a couple $100, $200, $300 maybe per month.
So Jesus Christ,
people who win the lottery, people who become successful. And I think this is a reason why people who win the lottery, like people, it's like brutal question. So I feel like because of that, this is always going to be that way.
Well,
and we can try to escape.
They probably don't see the same thing because Tim is a narcissist. I'm sorry. And again, I don't use narcissist as an insult because it is not Tim's fault that he's a narcissist. It has to do with genetics and his childhood. But the reason they don't see things the same way is that Tim is a narcissist and Adam is not a narcissist. Tim has to frame, because Tim is a narcissist, he has to frame everything in his life with him being the best, him being superior, him being the smartest person in the room, him having to control other people. So of course they wouldn't see things the same way because Adam does not have that particular personality disorder. And I am about 90% certain based on everything that I've heard that Tim does. And I'm sorry. Like, again, I'm not saying it as an insult. I'm not suggesting that it is not Tim's fault that he has the genetics for this and that there is probably some shit that happened in his childhood. That is not his fault at all. I do not demonize people with this. I do not say they're bad people, but they do have different perspectives of the world that people around them need to understand. Gerald says, skip the first hour. No Adam stuff in the first hour. All right, we'll skip ahead a little bit.
And claim that there's some utopia.
And you can see the chat is hammering
the protester
Tim.
Is one of 6.
I don't care.
2 things happen.
I don't
He
care.
views it as 10 million or something. Or the police drove slowly behind us.
Don't care.
So, when I came back to the U.S., there were news stories that weren't on the ground that were becoming prominent political.
Holy
and so I put my
shit.
GoPro off the gimbal and I put it on top of my monitor and just would be like, okay, if I can't do a vlog, I'll do a 10-minute.
I would bet he is hemorrhaging subs.
And
I would bet you he
the
is.
performance on those was
maybe
exponentially better than walking around
but I
trying
bet
to film
he
random
is.
things. And I didn't want to do that though. But as time went on, I started doing it more and more.
And I really just want to emphasize this point, guys, and I'll probably say this 20 or 30 more times throughout this stream. I do not believe that someone is a bad person if they have narcissistic personality disorder. I really don't. I don't believe it makes them a bad person. I am not saying he's a bad, evil person. I don't play that fucking game, all right? It's just something that people need to be aware of. That's it. Trump is a narcissist too,
And then I noticed that other people had multiple channels. And I said, all I do is every day I wake up and I'm just doing these YouTube videos. Man, we tried doing some other things. We launched a podcast called the Culture War Podcast. We did like 13 episodes. Wow. It's kind of crazy to think back then. Once a week. And we were getting like 10K downloads, I think. And I think it was the name. The Culture War Podcast. People were just clicking it. And stopped doing it. We were booking guests. And I think we had Coleman Hughes on. Coleman, shout out. Awesome dude. We had a few guests. And ultimately, I could not do it. It was so hard to do a morning show and a night show. It was just so hard. Even though it was once a week, I was just like, man. And so So I made a
Hang on. King of Diamonds says, as someone who I disagree with politically, you are probably the most understanding person I have ever listened to. Well, thank you, King of Diamonds. I really do appreciate that. Listen, regardless, I am actually a psychologist in real life. That's not an like I am actually I'm not a clinical psychologist. I don't like do therapy with people, but I understand people, and regardless of how I might personally feel about someone, whether I like them, whether I dislike them, whether they have wronged me, whether any other shit has happened, it doesn't really matter. My priority is on telling the truth. And I understand that human beings are multifaceted. There is no single person in the world that is 100% good or 100% bad. Human beings are inherently flawed. We all have flaws. We all have skeletons in our closet. We all have shit in our lives that we wish wouldn't be made public. And I genuinely do believe that, and people might not appreciate this commentary because they just want to see me ripping on Tim, but whatever, this is my channel. I'll do what I want. Like, I I really wish that people on the internet especially would be more forgiving of like the people that they watch like on YouTube or that they follow on Twitter, because if you require someone to pass a purity test, I promise you people will fail every single purity test you ask them to pass. They will always fail because human beings are flawed. And people should be forgiving of other people's flaws, because if you want people to be forgiving of your flaws, you need to be forgiving of the other people's flaws. Okay.
video talking about it and
And thank
explaining
you, Emphasize,
everything
for
that
the
was
super
going on with
sticker. I
Twitter
appreciate it.
and what Joe got wrong. About 4 or 5 years before that, Joe Rogan booked me to come on his show. Retro on Facebook.
I just want to get to the Adam stuff. I don't care about any of this.
They had been censoring conservative news stories. After the show, it got like millions of views. It did really, really well. And I was
the fact that Tim talked about himself for a fucking hour leading up to this is, I don't know whether he was working up courage to talk about this or what the hell, but what, like, we all know why, Tim, we all know why you're doing this. You're doing damage control. You're trying to paint yourself in a good light.
like, I looked at comparable famous people he had on the show that didn't do as well. And I was like, man, I was like, I don't view myself. I'm just a guy. I always say, like, I'm just a guy who's talking to the camera and complaining about stuff on the internet. You know what I mean? Joe Rogan, man, this is what happens. I think this was his plan the whole time. It was a big boost for us. When I went, it was early in the day, and Adam was there with a longboard.
Oh, there we go. There we go. He's kind of talking about Adam.
Probably,
finally,
in fact.
Finally.
I don't remember when, you know, if I think he was doing real conversations and that turned into Change My Mind. And I was like, it would be a hybrid of that, but I wouldn't be trying to change anyone's mind. I would just be having conversation. So it wouldn't be so much that I would assert a position like Crowder would. And, you know, the lockdowns happened. COVID happened. And I said, there's no way I can do this. So I need to turn it into something different. And this is where Adam comes in, who was a really good friend. We used to play Magic the Gathering together all the time. We'd have game nights. Magic, so much fun. Met him when I worked for Vice. One day, because this is how Vice is, you got nothing to do. And I end up saying, like, all right, you know, look, we're not scheduled to do anything until for like a week. I'm hanging out. People are leaving. I'm going to go hang out at this store. It's called 20-Sided Store. And I went. It was early in the day. And Adam was there with a longboard. And I had a deck
Thank
with
you,
me.
Vaughn.
Like, hey,
I appreciate it.
He's like, I didn't bring a deck with me. And I was like, all right, you know, whatever. Just bored, you know, want to play some Magic the Gathering. And then he was like, me and my buddies do a game night. You should come hang out. And I was like, dude, that would be epic because I don't have anybody to play cards with. And they also, I think they played poker. I don't know if I ever played poker with them. But it was a big poker table. And it was so much fun.
Interesting, the throat clearing thing. He's got throat
we would hang out all
chakra.
the time, and
Hang
I
on.
ended up.
I know that not everyone is as woo-woo as me, but let me tell you what the throat clearing thing says to me. Tim, okay, if you have issues with your throat, that is an indication that you are you feel stifled in what you can say. That to me is only confirmation that Tim is responding to Adam here, because it's like he is feeling low, he is feeling beaten down. Something like Adam must have gotten a really big response out of Tim's audience, like anxiety, like feeling worthless, low self-worth, low self-esteem. That's what you're gonna get with when you have like throat clearing issues. Sometimes you just have a cold. That could be true too. But that's what I hear when I hear the throat clearing stuff. Emphasize, boss has to deal with legalities, employees don't. Well, sometimes a little bit of both.
This is during Vice. Ended up getting, and then Fusion, getting an apartment right next to Adam because I needed a place when I was working at Vice, and he was like, get this place. And that apartment actually screwed me over. This is hilarious. They rented out my apartment, like, and they didn't give me my deposit back, and they moved people in. But I was traveling for Vice, and so I just was like, I showed up one day because I had gotten another apartment. And then I showed up one day and the doors were locked, and I laughed. I still had a key to the front door, but the apartment door. So anyway, here's what happens, right? Adam had lived with me in Miami. We wanted to do a show. It didn't really work out. I had brought Adam into Fusion. I wanted them to hire him as like a skate kind of personality, youthful exuberance kind of thing. I don't know what happened with that. It didn't really go anywhere. But, you know, Adam was killing it with like modeling stuff. And he was taken care of. You know, so he didn't need anything from me. But then when I was like, I need to do something that's different. I need to do something that's
Adam was killing it with the modeling stuff. He didn't need anything from me. The mistake that Tim is making is believing that this is all about money. And it is not about money. Adam wanted Tim to listen to him. That was what Adam wanted. That was what last night's stream was about. That was what was going on at the time. Adam just wanted Tim to listen to him. Tim thinks that everything is about money because money for Tim means security. Tim has built up this entire fucking empire to give himself security and status. That's what it is. But what Tim doesn't understand is that not everyone has the same motivations. Adam was not motivated by money. Adam wanted his friend to listen to him. Tim is motivated by money because to Tim, money means security. This probably has to do with him being homeless at some point, and now he's built up this entire empire so that he never has to experience that again. And I'm not taking anything away from him. He's worked really hard for what he has, but not everyone has the same priorities, and not everyone perceives things the same way. And that's just the way it goes. Adam's priority was the friendship and getting Tim to listen to him. Tim refused to listen to him, which he proved with the super chats last night, claiming he hasn't watched Adam's stream when he's done this. And I don't think Tim probably has watched Adam's stream, which means he's still not listening to Adam. And Tim just wants to say, it's all about money. It's all about money. It's all about money. It's all about money. No, not everyone are motivated by the same things. Let me just see. King of Diamonds has a super chat coming in. Adam, for the longest time, did not want to talk about what happened the day he was let go. I believe he was still hanging on to the friendship. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Adam, like, and again, like, I think that Adam really wanted to be able to reconcile with Tim at some point. What Adam does not understand is that was never going to happen because for Tim, Adam is not, based on everything that I've heard from Tim, from Adam, from other people that are, Tim views people as expendable. Adam doesn't view people the same way that Tim does. Adam actually cares about people. Adam, you know, one thing that came across so clearly to me last night was how much Adam cares about the people in his chat and his supporters. That came across really clearly to me last night. Like, he cares about people. Tim does not care about people in the same way that Adam does. Tim views people as expendable. But Adam is like desperate to have that friendship back, and it's just not going to happen. And I wish things were different for him. I really do. But it's just the way it goes.
Like I already have a political show. We need something else. You know, it's funny. That's always been what we've done. Hence, pop culture crisis. My view was it would always be better.
Tim is not a Capricorn.
Bigger.
He's a Pisces,
A pop culture
Leo.
show. I genuinely believe this right now as
Tim
well.
is double Pisces with a
Pop
Leo
Culture
moon.
Crisis, which we launched almost a year
Or
ago.
Leo rising. Sorry, Leo
Has
rising.
it been a year, actually? How long? As long as Pop Culture Crisis has been up. Might be longer than that. I can't remember. No, I think it's been a year. Talking about pop culture is infinitely more marketable than talking about politics. Now, we have the advantage of politics being pop culture and me having built this thing up over 10 years to the point where it's at now. And so I think Pop Culture Crisis has the potential to become substantially bigger than TimcastIRL ever will be, because news about, you know, like I got a story pulled up in front of me, Kanye West, that's on timcast.com. Cassandra, bravo with the scoop. News about celebrities is just the average person likes celebrity gossip. It's just a fact. And it's cultural issues. You'll notice that cultural channels, they do way better than we do. They get way more views. Like you take a look at the quartering, for instance, versus TimcastIRL. Jeremy gets I think he gets like 5 million more per month than we do. Shout out Jeremy. Cool dude. Good. He's a good guy. And he addresses more culture war issues and stuff. And that is, it's popular culture. So he gets a lot of views addressing the overlap. We go politics because that's always been my thing, but we do cultural politics. But so I told the pop culture crisis guys like Brett and Mary, and I was like, you guys do pop culture, and it overlaps with cultural stuff too, because you guys will be way bigger than we ever will be. You know, somebody wants to hear about the retirement of Nancy Pelosi versus Kanye West gets into a rap battle with, you know, insert celebrity or something. Like people are going to be like, yo, I love that song. So here's what happens with Timcast IRL. The goal of the show early on, if you take a look at it, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I forgot. There's a lot of my interpretation of things, of course. The first few things we did were like UFO sightings, Bigfoot, skinwalkers and stuff. And I was like, I want to do something that's very different from what I already do. And so the show should not be political. We should periodically have like guests come on, but it's mostly going to be like, you know, I'll put it this way. I never wanted to make the Joe Rogan experience. That is just, people just claim that, I guess. I don't want to do what Joe Rogan does. TimcastIRL does not do what Joe Rogan does. And we never wanted it to. But what I really love is weird and wild stories. What I really love is talking about paranormal reality or paranormal activity, alternate reality stuff. Alex Jones is so fun to listen to in that regard. And so I was like, we should talk about like cool, creepy stuff.
Then why didn't you do that,
IRL.
Tim?
Like it was originally supposed to be this vlog, but we'll just use the channel. It had 70,000 subscribers. And then I'll just start streaming on it and we'll talk about, you know, whatever. And then 2 things happened. The pandemic. So it was really hard there was no news. Politics was pop culture. And it's like, and my
what are you talking about? There was no news
in addressing the news.
That's not true. That's not true.
So the show started to turn into something.
Oh, he means there's no pop culture news. Okay, that's
the goal
different.
was to have guests early on, but it was to talk about. It was like the idea would be to find stories. Here's how it breaks down.
Hang on, I got a super chat. Jeff says Tim has his fans convinced super chatting his chickens is changing culture. He stopped being a journo when he stopped giving sources. I agree with that. Tim Pool is not changing culture, guys. I'm sorry, he's not. And I know that's not what a lot of his fans want to hear, but it's just like he's not. Like, as someone who's like a boots on the ground activist that does like way more things in the real world, I promise you that what Tim Pool is entertaining to a lot of people. And so if you're just like super chatting him in and supporting him to be entertained, like more power to you, man. Everyone has their things, but Tim Pool is not changing culture. Not in any way.
I did 1 segment on Timcast, youtube.com/Timcast. I did 5 on youtube.com/Timcast News. I thought to myself, I upload at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 4 p.m. on the Tim Pool channel, and then 6, 6:15, and 6:30. How do I get a video to drop every hour of the day? Okay, maybe not like midnight to 8 a.m., but every hour of the day. How do I produce more segments? Need something else. I can't talk about the same stories. They've been talked about. I've really reached the cap with talking about everything. But there are these other stories, very similar to how I launched Timcast News, that I don't talk about. Skinwalker Ranch, cool stories. UFO sightings. Doesn't really, they don't really do that well on the Timcast News channel. But I wanted to talk about them. Why don't I stop doing that and make a new show that's just different for different people? Then what we'll do is it'll be segmented. We'll talk about something for like 10 minutes, clip it, and that will be how I get more segments up every day. Instead of me doing research, because my 4 p.m. segment was like, it took 2 hours to make. The other segments were like free form conversation. And the 4 p.m. was, I would literally just, or the Timcast News was literally just talk. 4 p.m. was talk, stop, screen grab.
Yeah,
talk,
you're right, Redwood Badcast. He's stalling. I agree with that.
That was so stressful and hard to do.
I agree.
With TimcastIRL, I could add, 4 more segments, 3 more segments. We would pull 3 stories. It would be a UFO sighting. It would be, we had a guy come on, talk about relationships. Those were in the news. It was topical. I wanted topical stuff that wasn't politics, that I thought was interesting, that I didn't have the energy to do more monologuing on. So I needed help. And I hit up a few people. And then ultimately I was like, I tried doing something with Adam. He's the guy for this. And I hit him up and I was like, would you want to do a show? And here's the pitch. Here's the breakdown. Here's what I need you to do. Basically, I do my morning show. And then you only do the night show with me, but I'll pay you a base rate plus a percentage of what the channel does, because the joke I always make, and anybody who knows me knows this, is I'm a communist. And I think that people should get paid a proportion of the product they create within reason. And so the structure that I do with everybody is you will be compensated based on the money generated by your projects, period. I don't believe in doing a business model and where I'll pay you, X amount of dollars. And then when your book comes out, it makes $1 million. Congratulations, you've been paid already. Nah, F that. There's no way. And I'll tell you why. They'll just quit and you lose everything. And so I'm more like, we'll cover our costs. We'll take a tiny single-digit premium, but we're going to give you everything. If you write a book, you make yourself $1 million, bro, I don't want your money. I want your books to keep getting written. I want us to have a means to push back. There are problems with that mentality because some people quit anyway. But I don't believe in this. I've been advised by like other CEOs and businesses. They say never pay your staff enough that they can quit. And I'm like, no, that's dumb.
No,
if
that's
they want
stupid.
To quit, they should quit. I don't want them here. And so that's my motto. If you don't want to be here, you shouldn't be.
Tim has been advised by really bad CEOs that they've said that.
Because you saved up enough and now you got to be here. I'm like, I wish you all the best, man. Congratulations. If you want to be here and the money isn't what matters to you, you'll save your money and you'll do the mission and things will work out. And so at TimcastIRL, we encountered a very serious problem early on. One being the COVID pandemic, and 2 being pop culture became politics. So the show started shifting into this realm in a way that I didn't want it to. And I asked Adam, early on, like, what I need you to do is when I'm doing the morning show and researching all this news, try and find stories that fit this vein of things that I'm not talking about.
Hang on. Tim is talking about how he wanted to do this show so that he could create segments to post on his channel to make more money and be more successful. Okay, fine. But the reality is that the show that Tim and Adam created together was wildly more successful than what Tim is doing now. The show was extremely successful, and they were making segments and they were making clips, and he was able to functionally get what he needed out of that show. Okay, maybe not a new clip of every hour of every day, fine. But like, if this was really only about I want to make money and be successful, then the show was doing that. It may not have been Tim's original vision for the show, but this show was doing that. It was accomplishing functionally the same thing. So I don't want to hear any bullshit about, I had to fire Adam because I had to change the format of the show because the show wasn't really what I wanted it to be, and I wanted to do this other thing that was going to make it more successful. Like, bullshit, dude. The show was successful. Don't try to gaslight us into forgetting what reality was. I was fucking there. I was watching. A lot of people in the chat were watching. Your show was phenomenally successful with Adam. Please.
UFOs, for instance, or DMT trials, or, dating scene and culture stuff. And what ended up happening was for whatever reason. I don't know. Adam didn't want to do it. And
what are you
I
talking
think
about?
he liked what the show was becoming. You know,
Adam was doing it.
We had the soundboard. I have the stream deck in front of me. You press a button, and Greta Thunberg would be like, "How dare you? How dare you?" And you could press a button, and you know, Trump would go wrong. So when like either of us would disagree, we'd hit our buttons wrong, you know, and then we'd counterpoint. It was fun. I firmly believe that if we stayed on that trajectory, it would have been the biggest podcast. I did not want to be the biggest podcast. I didn't want to do a show like that. It was turning into that. But you know what? I was fine with it. I had a conversation early on with Adam of the main problem. And this is just the cold, hard truth. I had promised Adam a percentage of revenue for the channel. But because we were not producing segments that were substantively different from my existing channels, which were getting 500,000 views at this point, immediately at the launch of this show,
yes, he did. He said he's a communist.
On Timcast and Timcast News started to precipitously decline because I would put out a segment like Trump does backflip, and then at 6 p.m. I'd say, "You ready for the show? Do you have any stories?" And Ed would say, "No," and I would say, "What do we talk about?" And he goes, "Just talk about whatever you talked about earlier." And I was like, "Bro, I can't do that. I can't double up my segments and just split my views." The people who watched. This is the problem we still have with Timcast today. This is a fact. Often, because this is what it turned into, the 4 p.m. segment, I try very hard to avoid this, will be the biggest news of the day. But so does TimcastIRL has to be the same thing. So what's happened? The Tim Pool Show's views way down. The Tim Pool Daily Show podcast.
Tim, I fucking fed you the Don Bulldog story. I fed it to you. I gave it to you across every possible platform with all the evidence that you claim to want, and you still didn't cover it because you had to cover Twitter and Elon Musk for the 18,000th time within a week. So don't fucking tell me you're looking for stuff that is like you haven't covered yet, because when you are literally spoon-fed that information, you still don't do your fucking job if you're claiming to be a journalist. How many, like, those of you who watched him in the chat, how many segments has Tim done about Twitter and Elon Musk in the last month? I'm being serious. How many segments has Tim done about exactly the same topic in the last month? Gerald says, why is Tim asking Adam to do journo stuff? I mean, Adam did learn how to do that though. Like Adam put a lot of effort into learning about the news. He really did. Like, it wasn't his jam to begin with, but I remember like Adam would spend time looking into this stuff. So for Tim to say that Adam didn't do that is just bullshit. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tim has done like 8,000 segments about Elon Musk and Twitter. He did 2 segments about Elon Musk and Twitter the day after I fed him the Don fucking Bulldog debate story and handed it to him on a silver fucking platter. So don't fucking tell me that your biggest challenge is finding other things to cover, Tim, because you were literally handed it and you refused to do it, and then you complained about it on your show later when you were asked. Renee says, Tim won't acknowledge an idea unless it comes from him or he feels like it comes from him. Yes, I completely, Tim, I think you meant Tim won't. Tim won't acknowledge an idea unless it comes from him or feels like it comes from him. Yes, I completely agree with that. Completely 100% agree. Emphasize says, pimping ain't easy as an oligarch. I guess not, Emphasize. I guess not. And then Gerald says, I get that, but Tim is acting like he's a professional journalist. Tim is not a journalist. There may have been a time when Tim was a journalist, but I do more fucking journalism than Tim does. I'm sorry, I do. I do more journalism than Tim does. And I am not a journalist.
Way down. I went to Adam within a month of doing the show, and I said, bro, this show's not going to last. I do a morning show. I've worked really, really hard to get to this point. I do everything to make it happen. I want you to get a percentage of the revenue from TimcastIRL. But when we put up 2 of the same segments, this morning I put up, story X occurs, and then we do TimcastIRL and put up another segment, story X occurs. Instead of me getting 300,000 views,
asking, not acting.
I'm getting 150.
Sorry about that, Gerald.
And then the segment at night gets 150.
Is Tim
then
asking him
the
like
revenue is
Sorry,
divided,
Gerald.
and then you want a portion of that. But that's not what I'm trying to do. And I have a mission. I want to make a brand. I want to challenge the Disneys. I want to push back. And I can't do that if I'm sinking myself by launching a product with a pay structure that is siphoning away from what I've already created. I couldn't do it. That's the truth. And
such a bullshit excuse. I'm sorry. Such a bullshit excuse.
This is the structure that we've made, and I'll honor it. And I need you to understand that. I need you to find separate stories. If we make a show that's bigger than my other channels, that's fine. But if we're just already, if it is me relying on my research to talk about the same thing I already talked about with your co-hosting and commentary, that is just a net negative on my business. At this point, I was making about $60,000, $70,000 per month on my two channels, Timcast News and Tim Pool. And I was very excited. I was beginning to look to purchase a building to expand. And we, of course, wanted to launch Subverse, which was a separate company. And then all of a sudden, I saw that my podcast was losing views because TimcastIRL was starting to gain all the views. And I said, this will be the end of what I've been building over the past 10 years. Unless we stay on focus, we can talk about news and politics, but bro, I need you to source segments that I don't do. And if people prefer to watch the stories that you chose over my stories, it's totally fine. But if it's just going to be me doing all the work, coming onto the show,
come on,
and then giving you half my money, like, bro, we have a problem with that. And so that wasn't the reason why Adam ultimately left the show. He wasn't fired.
He was fired. That's bullshit.
He was never fired, in fact.
Bullshit. 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 Tim is flat lying here. Tim is lying. Adam was absolutely fired from the show. He was absolutely fired. And all the rest of this is an excuse. I cannot believe. Well, no, that's incorrect. I absolutely can believe that Tim just blatantly lied. I absolutely can. Because again, and you know what? Tim might in his head actually believe the things that he's saying. Here's the fucked up part about narcissism. Tim probably actually believes in his head that what he's saying is the truth. He probably has reframed this entire scenario to truly believe that what he's saying is the truth. King of Diamonds says, did Tim forget that he said he let Adam go? Yeah, that's being fired, Tim. And again, I was talking to Adam when this fucking happened. So don't tell me that Adam wasn't fired. I remember what Adam was saying to me in private when he was fired. Wow. Narcissists, guys, they really can convince themselves of things that are not true and have no basis in reality at all, because it reframes because he needs to reframe the scenario so that he is the best, he is the one that is completely right, he is perfect, he is all these things. He has to do that. It is a coping mechanism for control. Tim saying he didn't fire Adam is a blatant falsehood.
What ended up happening was there were a few instances of, I don't know how to describe it, internal company conflict. We had a couple other people. It was like three employees at this point, really small. And, I had to say things like, hey, like, we can't have this. Like, hey, you can't do this.
A whole bunch of these little things right now.
And so ultimately what ended up happening with the early iteration of the show is that it got to a point where, the reality of the money thing is totally true. I absolutely felt
Tim's
like
chat is
I
not
had worked
happy.
so hard sleeping on floors and working.
Tim's chat is really not happy because they remember too. Justin says, hearing the way Tim talks about Adam reframe the whole thing that went down with his brother over Subverse. Well, I hear Tim is going to be talking about that as well. And by the way, I've heard, and again, like, I don't know if this is true yet, and we're going to listen, but like, I've heard that Tim said that his brother didn't sue him. Yes, his brother did sue him. He absolutely did. It's a lie if Tim said he didn't.
16-hour days to just enter into a deal that saw me lose half the money when the deal was supposed to be that, Adam would do pre-production for IRL so we could talk about UFOs and dating drama and pop culture. And it was turning into me talking about what I already talked about, but I now had to give him a portion of the revenue. And so I agreed to it. And I said, I'll have to figure this one out.
Would have been better if you hadn't done this. Well, we'll see. I believe you, though.
It got to a point where Adam was paid so much that we were legally blocked from actually offering him more money. At this point, we started making...
That doesn't make any sense.
Six figures per month. And my accountant informed me that, like, hey, you're paying this guy too much. He made substantially more than I did. And he was like, you're paying this guy too much. There's a limit on what we can do through payroll because of I don't know exactly what they said. But they were like, you're gonna have to figure out an alternative structure. And I was like, okay. I was like, man, this is getting crazy. And, but the money was never the issue. And I want to be totally upfront and clear about that. The fact that he was getting paid so much and he was getting paid more than me wasn't an issue. He wasn't getting paid more.
Tim, he wasn't getting paid more than you. Like, let's just be like, when Tim is like, I do not find, like, how in the ever loving fuck could Adam be getting paid more than Tim? If Adam was getting a percentage of the show, which I don't believe was 50-50, because I believe Adam on this, and Adam said it wasn't 50-50. Adam was getting a base level pay plus a percentage of the show. Like, it makes no godly sense that Adam was making more money than you, Tim. It makes no sense at all. The majority of money that comes in from YouTube is from the super chats. So if you guys are splitting those as a percentage, how is it remotely possible that Adam was getting paid more money than you? And in addition, Tim, you were using the show to build all of your other brands, which is fine and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't pretend for 1 second that you also weren't profiting from all your other brands. The Rabbi X says, this is exactly the behavior of a narcissist. I've had to deal with this personality type my whole life. He is rationalizing his bad behavior by gaslighting. He has repeated this story to himself so many times he believes it. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that this is a pure rationalization because he has to reframe this scenario so that he did nothing wrong. He is the best. He is the smartest. He is the best businessman that has ever been in business, like all of this stuff.
Issue to me, but like it's I genuinely was like, we're gonna have the biggest podcast in the world, so my boy, man, it's gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, I still own the company. I still have, the control of everything.
I want everyone to pay attention to the fact too that Tim is framing this entire conversation around money and success. Money and success. Money and success. That is all he's talking about, is money and success. I did this to make more money. I did this to be more successful. I did this to make more money. I did this to be more successful. That is a narcissist. That's their number one priority. And again, there are other reasons for it. It has to do with like underlying security issues. And again, when you're at the top of the heap and you're making more money and you're more successful than everyone else, it is extremely easy to keep other people in control when you are at the top of the heap. Because think about that. How many people are kissing Tim's ass wanting to get on that show? A lot. Do you think that any of those people are going to speak out against this bullshit? No, because it would piss Tim off and they never get to get on the show. That's how Tim is keeping everyone in control, by making more money than anyone else and having the biggest podcast in the world, or whatever he wants to say. This is about controlling other people and maintaining his status. And that is all this is. Not everyone has the same priorities. Not everyone has the same priorities. Not everyone cares about making more money than everyone else, or being more successful than everyone else, or having more status than everyone else.
It may not be what I wanted, and it may be turning into something else. And I think there's a risk to the Tim Pool Daily Show. But I think this is going to be something big. And I think maybe that's the way it was supposed to be. Until the final straw happened. And that is, it's just a broken, sad reality. I know that Adam did a thing talking about me. I hope you guys, check out his stuff. And if you like him, you watch him. He deserves it. He's a cool dude. It's unfortunate that these kind of things happen in business. He told his version of the story.
Do you know what Tim
I've
didn't
only
say
seen
there?
some clips of it.
So Tim hasn't watched what Adam said. Okay. So at least he admits that. But you know what Tim didn't say there? I want to ask the chat. What didn't Tim say just then? Adam's a cool guy. He did a video of me. If you want to watch his stuff, go watch it. He's a cool guy. What didn't Tim say? There's a pop quiz for the chat. What didn't he say? He didn't say, I'm going to tell you guys, I know there's a delay, but I actually want to see if you get this answer. Yes, you guys got it. You guys got it. He didn't say, Adam's my friend. He didn't say, Adam is my friend. He is my friend. We were friends. They were friends. Or at least Adam thought they were friends. Tim didn't feel that way. Because Tim only uses people to make himself more money and gain more status. And as soon as people get in the way of Tim making more money or gaining more status, Tim will drop them faster than they've ever seen. Because people that are narcissists don't have real friends.
I've had people hitting me up. I think it was a particularly inappropriate time, considering the amount of threats that we've been getting. Dragging my girlfriend into it with stories that aren't true is
what?
Just so.
Okay, I know I'm pausing a lot, but whatever. Like, Adam was nothing but complimentary to Tim's girlfriend in that stream. Adam said nothing bad about Tim's girlfriend. In fact, he was overly complimentary of his girlfriend. And in regards to being inappropriate timing, Adam doesn't work for you, Tim. He doesn't have, like, is that really what Tim cares about? Well, Adam, this timing, it was just really inconvenient for me, for you to tell your story. How fucking selfish are you, Tim?
So brutal. So brutal. My family being dragged into it is just so brutal.
Tim is fucking...
My brother never sued me.
That's bullshit.
He was mad about name rights. He never sued me.
That's absolute bullshit. Chris Poole absolutely did sue Tim Pool. You can look it up on the fucking internet. That is 100% bullshit. Look at, I'm the poor victim. He's dragging my girlfriend into it, even though he didn't say anything bad about my girlfriend. This was all really inconvenient for me. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. I'm the victim of this big bad Adam, who was never my friend. Who was never my friend, and he just wouldn't do the work, and so I had to do all the work for him. Tim is reframing this so that everything is about him, and other people's feelings or opinions don't matter at all. And he's also trying to rewrite reality completely, because Adam didn't say anything bad about Tim's girlfriend last night. Yes, we can see it, Dan. You're not blocked yet. This stuff pisses me off so much. When people blatantly try to rewrite reality, just hoping that... I have had people do this shit to me. Okay, maybe I'm taking it a little bit personal, because I've had people do this shit to me where they say Carlin did this and Carlin did that, and these things have no basis in reality at all, but they say it as though it's true, and then the people they're saying it to don't go and research what actually happened. Jamie, Tim gets this happening to him all the time. pretty much anyone on the internet gets this all the time. It doesn't matter. I don't care if Tim is getting doxxed. I don't care if he's getting death threats. You want to know why? Because the same thing probably happens to Adam. The same thing happens to me. The same thing happens to anyone with a channel on anything. And it happens all the time. Saying that Tim has people making threats is not a good enough reason for Adam not to tell exactly the story that he wants to tell.
So here's what happened. I apologize to Lydia for having this become like a public thing, I guess. We were doing the last episode with Adam, and when the show ended, he yelled at Lydia. Like, look, I know everyone's got their version of events, but it was bad. I had to say, dude, chill, stop.
Tim yells at people all the time. Tim snaps at people all the time. I've heard this now from multiple people. Tim yells at his own employees all the time. So Tim is not innocent in this. Gerald says, I think Tim is talking about the Lydia sleeping with him thing when he was referring to his girlfriend. No. Tim had a different girlfriend at that time, is my understanding of it. But to say, like, if Adam yelled at Lydia, he was following the example that Tim had set, because Tim yelled at Lydia all the time.
People are saying Tim simped for Lydia. He chose hoes over bros. No, that's not what happened. What happened was I had two friends and they were fighting with each other. One friend didn't understand, I guess, that there's only so much you can do in terms of allowing instigated aggressive behavior legally.
That's not
it's
true,
not the
Tim.
first time I tried warning him to chill out.
That's not true. That's not true. That is absolute bullshit. I'm an organizational psychologist. I have worked with some of the biggest organizations in the world. Tim is lying. Tim is lying. There is nothing that legally prevents someone from yelling at someone else in a work environment unless the reason they are yelling at them is ongoing and perpetual harassment on the basis of being a protected class. Tim is lying. Now, listen, I did a whole dissertation about workplace bullying. I am not condoning workplace bullying in any way, shape, or form. But the fact of the matter is that workplace bullying is not illegal in any single state in this country. And it is certainly not illegal in New Jersey. And it is certainly not illegal in Maryland. The only place where Lydia could have remotely had a case is maybe California, because California has really weird labor laws that disproportionately favor the employee over the organization. But New Jersey does not have those laws, and Maryland does not have those laws. And when this happened, they were in New Jersey. So Tim is lying again. Baker Fresh says, didn't Adam claim after all this Tim still help him pay his moving expenses? How much is this Tim's personality with Sour Patch stuck in the middle? Here is why Tim would do nice things for Adam, like buying him that $2,000 bottle of whiskey or paying his moving expenses for him to go to Sweden or any of these things. It is a control issue. Remember, Adam is the only one who did not sign the NDA. Adam is the only one that is basically free to talk about what's going on publicly because he didn't sign the NDA that Tim demanded he sign. And so Tim had to try to keep him under the wing somehow. And this is what narcissists do, is they give a carrot. Here's a $2,000 bottle of whiskey, Adam. No. You can't go on my show again. No, here, I'll pay your moving expenses to Sweden. No. We're never really going to be friends again. And really, we weren't ever friends in the first place anyway. It's a control issue. It's to keep Adam on the hook because Adam so desperately wanted to be friends with Tim again. And he wanted to go back to doing the show. I mean, that's pretty clear to me from everything that he said last night. And he still probably wants to be friends with Tim again. So Tim dangles these carrots, and right now I have 666 viewers, so that's got to be a sign of something, probably the apocalypse. Oh, it just went up to 669. So Tim kept dangling these carrots in front of Adam to keep him on the hook. That's why he did it. It wasn't to be a nice guy. It was to keep Adam under control. That's why. The Rabbi X says, my father would do the exact same thing. He would blow up on a dime. Then 3 minutes later, it never happened. They have to know everything and have it be all about them. They lie to themselves till it becomes reality. That is exactly correct, the Rabbi X. This is exactly what Tim is doing. It's exactly what he's doing. I hate being disappointed like this. I really do. Jenny's getting inky with it says he berated one of his journalists during an IRL show for disagreeing and yelled at Ian in a member's show saying Ian's ineptitude cost him money, just to name 2 specific instances. So Tim doesn't even just do this in private with his employees. He does it in public. Don't tell me that Tim has never yelled at his employees the way that Adam had an outburst at Lydia because he was frustrated. Adam was following the example that Tim set as the leader of that operation, however you want to call it. Justin says, Adam wanting to be Tim's friend again explains why he looked so hurt last night when Tim chatted in. I also think that Adam, I think this was an abusive relationship. I really, really do. You could tell by Adam's body language. It was heartbreaking. And again, separate from like whatever beef I have with Adam, that's like, it was heartbreaking for me to watch that last night. It really was. Tim is acting like a young Bill O'Reilly. Well, that's an interesting observation, King of Diamonds. Indeed. All right, guys, let's keep going. Please mount that like button if you're enjoying the stream so far.
Like, bro, come on. He had sniped at Lydia. I know they don't get along. I know why. I understand. And I'm sorry that he felt that way. I wish that wasn't the case. But you can't yell at someone to the point where they're breaking down in tears and just keep going. And then have me, it only stopped when I was like, bro, stop, chill. And then he stormed off. I understand why he was mad. I sympathize. It's a sad story, man. But you can't take it out on a coworker.
You do it all the time,
you guys, what do you
Tim.
think would happen?
You do it all the time.
Your company. And you started yelling at a coworker to the point where they broke down in tears, and it was not the first time you had an altercation. What do you think's going to happen? I'll tell you what happened. The next day, I thought letting Adam sleep on it would be the appropriate thing to do. Let everybody chill out. I messaged him on Facebook, and I said, hey, man.
He messaged him on Facebook?
Like that.
He messaged him on Facebook?
Said,
what the fuck? He messaged Adam on Facebook. Adam was sleeping in the room across the hall. You're telling me that the appropriate leadership tact for a CEO of now a multi-million-dollar company to take is messaging your employee on Facebook when he is literally in the room across the fucking hall?
I don't want to misquote him, but to paraphrase was basically like, I'm allowed to speak what I want to speak and express myself. You know, I don't respect her. I don't think she's good at her job. She says things that I think are inappropriate, and you know, I'm going to call her out for it. And the gist of the conversation was me saying, I get it, bro, but you can't yell at people like to the point where they're in tears. And then he said something like, if you don't like what I have to say when I say it, then I don't need to be here and I will leave. And I said, and if that's what you want to do, then
I don't
so
believe
be it,
you, Tim.
leave. And he said, okay, fine. He got in his car and he left. And then I said, okay, I guess I'm going to take full mantle, which I kind of felt like I was doing mostly anyway. I'm just going to do everything. There was a big reason why I told him to chill out. And
that is absolute bullshit. And do you know why that's absolute bullshit? Because if Adam had quit in that moment, then it wouldn't have. Who here remembers the message that they posted on YouTube the night of the show, that the day that Adam quit on, or the day that Adam was fired on? Who here remembers that? Because I remember I was waiting for I remember the night that Adam was fired. I was waiting for TimcastIRL to go live, and it wasn't going live. I was still watching it at that point. It was not going live. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I checked the YouTube and I checked their Twitters, and it was like a last minute, like, there's no show tonight. Adam will no longer be with the show. And Adam was tweeting about it. It was all last minute. It was not something that had happened earlier in the day. It was not something that happened the day before. It was all last minute. Don't tell me Adam quit earlier in the day, because if Adam had quit, oh God, hang on. If Adam had quit earlier in the day, then it wouldn't have been a last minute announcement when every single person was waiting for the show to go live. This is just blatantly false. Based on what Adam said last night, Adam and his wife went out to a diner to talk about things and then came back. Tim is lying here. He is lying and he is obfuscating the truth. Anyone who was around at that time remembers exactly what happened, and it did not happen earlier in the day.
There's the stupid, unfortunate reason, which I hate, and the personal. The stupid, unfortunate reason is like, if I as an employer have an employee, and I had 3 or 4, scream at another employee to the point of tears, that employee has a legal grounds to take action against me.
No,
unless I address it.
Incorrect.
Anybody who works for a company knows it.
Lies.
Adam was.
There is no. That is a that is a blatant lie. I'm not saying that that's good, but A, Tim yells at people all the time. B, an employee does not have a cause to take a legal action against their boss because someone else made them cry. Show me the law, Tim. And remember, you were in New Jersey at the time, and New Jersey doesn't actually have great laws that benefit the employees for reasons. That is a blatant lie. There is no such legal action that can be taken in that situation.
Was not fired. He said, if I don't like what he's going to say when he screamed at an employee, then he'd leave. And I said, if that's what you think, then so be it. He came back later that day and said, so what are we going to do? And I was like, what do you mean? What are we going to do? And he was like, what's it going to be? Like, fire Lydia or me? And I was like, bro, you already told me you would leave, and you did. And I've been sitting here all day. Like, what am I supposed to do? You think now, after you put that over my head, you're going to walk back and I'm going to back, like, I'm all of a sudden just going to be like, it's all you, bro. You know, feel free to threaten the.
And I want to point out too, that at this point, Tim has still not said that Adam was his friend at all. I said this last night on my stream, and I will say it again. What Tim should have done is sit down at a table with Adam, open a bottle of whiskey, and have a conversation as though the two of them were friends, find out what was making Adam so upset in the first place for him to blow up at Lydia, and try to have some sort of accommodation. But Tim is basically putting zero blame on Lydia at all. He's still white knighting for Lydia and trying to protect her. Everything is Adam's fault. Nothing is Tim's fault. Nothing is Lydia's fault, because Tim doesn't want to take responsibility for any of this. What Tim should have done is sat down and listened to his friend. That is what he should have done in this circumstance. Rabbi X, anyone notice Tim has absolved himself of all responsibility? Yes. Tim takes no responsibility for what happened, even though Tim was the one who was yelling at everyone, who probably Adam was copycatting with his behavior towards Lydia. It all came from Tim. Yeah, this is what their post said. Moving forward, Adam is no longer on the show, and many of you have seen his tweet about it. A lot of people are speculating what's going on. It has nothing to do with me or money, which was a lie too. I mean, the fact that Tim said that night had nothing to do with me or money, that we now know that was a blatant lie. Tim has already told us that was a blatant lie. Tim is innocent. Tim is the victim. Tim, like, he didn't do anything wrong. Oh my God.
Destruction of the show unless you fire the employee you don't like. Talk about an impossible situation.
No, it's not impossible, Tim. It's
so
not
here's
impossible
what I said.
At all.
Bro, we can't do this. Like, I can't. There were already the issues with we weren't the show it was supposed to be. There were already issues with I felt like you weren't doing the production I need you to do. We've already had altercations with you and Lydia to the point where like I have to take action. Not just as an employer, but as friends with two people.
Oh, finally
you
says
didn't
he's
want to
friends.
stop yelling at someone. What am I supposed to do? You know, who am I supposed to be loyal to? So you know what I did? Man, I'm such a stupid person. I built Adam. I bought him whatever he wanted for his own studio. I gave him the studio in the basement, shouted him out every which way, and he was never fired. I kept paying him. And it's stupid because it opened me up to so much risk. Because I did not want him to leave the show in this way. I did want the lightning in the bottle, as they described it. I did dream about how big the show was going to be. And I thought maybe we will be something that can reach people. It was crazy to see.
This was an eminently fixable situation for any experienced CEO. This was an eminently fixable situation. Again, for those who don't know me, I'm an organizational psychologist. I have done coaching and consulting in some of the biggest organizations in the world, separate from this YouTube bullshit. I have literally helped CEOs fix situations that are much more difficult than this. This is one of the easiest situations that I ever could have fixed, ever. For Tim to say this was an impossible situation says a lot more about Tim's lack of experience and him needing to reorganize reality around what makes him look good than it says about the actual situation.
Normies who are like all of a sudden cheering on this dude wearing a maca hat. But you know what I can't do? I can't be in between two people where one guy is screaming at the other person and then tells me, too bad, it's me or her and I won't stop. And I say, bro, if that's what you bring to me, I have no choice. Lydia did nothing wrong other than perhaps be annoying to some people. Bro, you've been starting.
Tim, I wonder if your girlfriend thinks that Lydia did nothing wrong. Lydia is Yoko Ono in some respects, yes. But no, this is not even, you know what, guys? I don't even blame Lydia. I don't blame Lydia. Some people might find that hard to believe. I don't blame her either, because again, I think she fell in love with Tim. I think she got addicted to Tim in the same way that Adam got addicted to Tim. And I think that Lydia, you know, is probably just as much of a victim in this entire situation as Adam is, to be quite frank. Tim decided to, you know why Tim chose Lydia over Adam? Tim chose Lydia over Adam because Lydia is much easier to control. Tim was not able to control Adam. He was not able to control Adam's speech. He was not able to control when Adam would push back on him. He was not able to control Adam when Adam would say he was wrong. He wasn't able to control him. But Lydia, Tim knew he could keep Lydia in control. That's why he chose her over Adam. That's why.
Starting it. And then you screamed. And like, I want to be good to both of you. After that, we hung out. You know, it was bad for a week or two, for obvious reasons. It was hard to do the show. Ian, I had met in Connecticut, and we wanted him to help us with gaming development because I was making investments to expand the company. And we actually have a card game we're working on with Seamus. And Ian was a wild card, but I was like, I can't do it. You know, do I just cancel TimcastIRL and shut it down and never do it again? It didn't work. Bands break up for exactly this reason. And people often wonder, like, that band was so good. Why did they break up? And it's like, that's why. It happens. So I thought to myself,
oh, we have someone whining in my chat, but they did it in a super chat. So if you pay me money to whine, I will actually respond to you. Guys, as a reminder, I have 2 rules in my chat. Number 1 is don't be a dick. That means you don't insult me. You don't insult other people in the chat. Number 2 is no whining. If you whine about my rules or you break my rules after I tell you not to, I will ban you for both those things. Marsha here, Marsha I have never seen in my chat, has never commented on my channel, and is trying to gaslight me right now by saying, I once watched you as a fellow communicator, and now you indulge in this sort of thing, and I'm sure Marsha is clutching her pearls right now so completely. Your own YouTube career has changed you in a way that saddens me. Marsha, I have never seen you comment or participate in the chat on my channel, so thank you for the money, but I don't really care what you think. And if you don't want to watch the stream, then you don't have to watch it. Yes, you are whining. And if you and we have and you know, people in the chat will know exactly what happens when people say, I'm not whining, I'm not whining, I'm not whining, I'm not whining. It means they're whining. Marsha, if you don't, and this is true of anyone else here too, if you don't want to watch this content, then don't watch this content. I have a channel full of other content that you can watch. At 6 p.m. in about 2 hours, I will be going live for Socialism Saturday. Come back at 6 p.m. if you don't want to watch this and watch Socialism Saturday. There are any number of other things that you can watch that are not this. Exercise some personal fucking responsibility as an adult and don't click on things you don't want to watch. Thank you, Kenneth, for the super chat. I do appreciate it. King of Diamond says, I think Tim is misremembering his argument. I remember Tim telling Adam live to tone it down, and Adam was too excited about what he had learned to stop. Well, no, Tim has reframed reality in a way that best suits Tim. That's what it is.
To make sure that Adam has every opportunity and succeeds. Because this was not an issue of me wanting Adam to leave. We lived in the same house. This is not an issue of me wanting him to
I also want to say this, and I talked about this on another stream. Tim would do passive aggressive bullshit with Adam where, yes, Tim gave Adam a computer that Adam was using to do his show with in the very beginning. Tim gave him this really nice computer, and like, so you think, oh, they're friends, right? Tim is giving me the basement. Tim wants me to have this computer so I can do the show. Guess what Tim did a couple weeks after he gave that computer to Adam? He all of a sudden one day said, Adam, I need to take that computer back, and he took it back. Giving Adam no time to actually find a new computer with which to do his show. So yes, Tim would help Adam, and then Tim would take something back from Adam in order to keep him on the hook. No, Eric, I'm not a socialist. You want to try again, buddy? Go watch Socialism Saturday and tell me if I'm still a socialist.
I just want my buddy to figure it out, make his own thing. He started a show called Adam Cast. I think it was called Adam Cast IRL. I said, hey, come on, dude. You shouldn't use that name. Like, you got to be your own thing. We hung out. We had gotten dinner. We would eat vegan food every night. We were playing Magic the Gathering. It was sucky for a couple of weeks afterwards, but we started skating again together. We started hanging out. And, it kind of sucked. Adam started using, Adam had started his own thing called Adam Cast before he had left the show. And I say it legitimately that he left the show. He wasn't fired. I still paid him. But he said, if I don't get my way, I will leave.
That's the way boundaries work, Tim.
It. People are like, Tim fired him. No, I kept paying him. Paid him again, like a bonus structure. But then he started getting a base salary, doing his own show, keeping all the revenue, separate pay, all of that stuff, using the Adam Cast IRL name, using our equipment I bought for him, a computer I helped him set him up with. And we decided to move because of the lockdown stuff. And Adam and his wife still worked for Timcast. We got along, we hung out. Nish was great. We decided to move to the castle. And I said, what do you guys want to do? You can stay in this house for free forever, or you can come with us and we can live in our wooded winter wonderland. And Adam, be in the crew, man, and be a part of what we're building. And you own your thing now. This is what I thought was ultimately the best thing. Adam was getting paid a lot of money, and it was really cool to see that I could elevate my friend to this point because he's certainly talented. And it did scare me that something, this show is taking away what I had built. It's true. I'm not gonna pretend that wasn't true. But I also kind of felt like maybe the solution after all of this is Adam should get 100% of the money that he makes. I should get 100% of the money that I make. And he shouldn't have to work with Lydia, but I'm not going to fire Lydia because he doesn't like her. So I didn't fire him. He kept getting.
Hang on. NSX says, just joined, heard mention of Lydia. I missed the story. What their drama at the root of Lids leaving Lids and Adam? No. There will never be a Lydia and Adam collaboration. I promise you, there will never, ever be a Lydia and Adam collaboration. Adam hates Lydia. And I don't trust. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Tim was still paying Adam. I have no idea if that's true or not. I kind of want to see the receipts on that. Tim has already lied so much in this that I don't trust what he's saying. Jenny's getting inky with it, says, watch the Cast Castle vlog. During that time, Adam was very standoffish. It came off to me like he was distancing himself and felt like he didn't belong. I think that is probably much closer to the truth.
Getting paid. I built him a studio. He launched a show. He brought on guests. Sometimes the guests overlapped.
I built him
a
studio.
Difficult in that regard.
I built him a studio. Didn't Adam build the studio for TimcastIRL? Tim built him a studio?
And even though I was paying him and paid for everything, it's like, it's all yours. All yours. And he started doing really well. We moved to the castle, to Western Maryland. And I said, I want to launch the vlog now. We're going to do a daily vlog because, of course, I've been saying this nonstop. And
yeah, allocated. Tim did not build Adam's studio. That's another lie.
I will pay you $250,000 per year, and you will be the main guy.
Again, Tim thinks this is all about money. It was not about money. I don't know
the exact details. It may have been that I said, if you work for the company, you can't run your own businesses. I understand that may be a non-starter, because the problem in the first place was that you were dependent upon me for the paycheck. And the solution seemed to have been, you keep all your own money when you do your show. I think for that reason, Adam said, I can't do the vlog. I can't do it. I later came to him and said, why don't you come back on TimcastIRL and we'll start it up again?
Bullshit.
And he said, you want me to, he's like, you're asking me to come back on the show. And I said, yes, but I cannot pay you the same bonus structure.
There it is.
And this is a reality. I cannot be the person to do the morning show and all the research and then come in and give, almost half of all the money to somebody who doesn't do the heavy lifting. I'm not trying to dig at Adam for that.
Adam was doing the heavy lifting.
The original intention of the show was that I was going to give him rev share because he was going to be doing production. He did not do production. He did not do production ever. A few times, that's unfair. A few times. But when it came to the point where I'm just like, I will pay you a lot of money to be on the show, but I can't give you a rev split if I'm the one who's doing all the heavy lifting. And he said, well, think about it. And then he said, I won't do it. I can't do it.
It's still all about money for Tim.
Right.
Tim doesn't understand. Adam wanted the friendship. Tim thinks about money.
He said a few
wanted
things,
the friendship.
and I feel like, everybody says everybody has their version of the truth. When they were still working for the company, Adam and Nishra, getting paid. Nishra helped me produce the song Will of the People, masterfully done. So incredibly good. Shout out. They were getting paid. And I explained to them, like, look, I don't want any of the, Adam was, I think he started doing his coffee thing. And I was like, I don't want any of this, any of the money. I don't care about the YouTube revenue, even though I was paying their salaries. I was paying Adam a salary. And I was like, I could stop, like, I don't want to just give you guys money. Like if you guys want it, you can have it. Like, I don't want to fire you. I don't want you to leave. You're my friends. And so they just, kept getting paid for the year after the show ended. So like never terminated. In the house the whole time, moved with us, skated with us, hung out with us. Everything was good. When Adam moved here to the castle, long after the end of our IRL, with the Adam iteration, we were hanging out. There was a cat. The cat's name was Scuttle. I called him Herman. They called him Osiris. Everything was good. I recorded music with Nisha. We had jam sessions. We had events. I brought Adam a bottle of Pappy bourbon, Kentucky bourbon. Everyone yells at me when I call it whiskey. I thought everything was just like, we're going good, man.
See, this is just control issues. Tim is like, I did all this nice stuff for Adam. And again, like Tim thinks that everything is fine Because like Adam was under control at this point. That is why Tim thinks everything was fine. Because he was doing this nice stuff for Adam and continuing to dangle the carrot of, Adam, we can be friends again. We can be friends again. Like, here's a $2,000 bottle of whiskey, Adam. We can be friends again. We can be friends again. So that Tim thought that everything was fine because Adam wasn't really bothering Tim and wasn't speaking out about what was going on. Tim had him wrangled in. But Adam wanted to be Tim's friend. If it was just about money, then Adam would have taken the money. Adam wanted to be Tim's friend, but Tim doesn't really have friends. Got a couple super chats. NSX says, seeing how Tim was with Milo, they're both narcissists, but Milo owns it, whereas Tim is ruled by it. That is, NSX, that is a really, really, really great observation. And then Aaron says, Adam said Tim would take ownership of all his content if he agreed. Tim doesn't even mention the rights to Adam's music or anything about it. Well, that was the NDA. If Adam had signed the NDA that Tim wanted him to sign, then Tim would have owned absolutely everything that Adam and Adam's wife had worked on. And that wasn't going to work for Adam. Obviously, Adam was so smart not to sign that NDA. But that's what that was in reference to.
But one day, as we started hiring more people to expand the company, we were launching a website, and we have entertainment lawyers and corporate lawyers. They said, you need employees under corporate NDA. Anybody who works for the company. Anybody who lives in anybody with access to long-term access to the building has to be under NDA. This is true for any major like corporate media.
All right, King of Diamonds. My last tip. We'll see, King of Diamonds. I vehemently disagree with Tim all the time and will still watch him, but this is enough for me to end my membership. Shouldn't have talked. Guys, I will never, just so everyone knows, I will never tell you who to subscribe to. I will never tell you who to watch. I will never tell you who to support. It is your money. It is your business. It is not any of mine. I am not telling anyone to like unsubscribe or do any of these things. You have to do what's best for you. I don't play those games. But if that's how you feel about it, I can understand why you might feel that way.
Office, even as a guest, we don't make our guests sign NDAs. But we do make long-term contractors sign NDAs. We have to. The reason for it
that didn't come from their lawyers.
We want to start doing movies. We're talking, and I talked about this before. We're doing the Cast Castle vlog. We've got movie stuff happening, and
yes, everyone should
we had a meeting
subscribe
with,
to Justin,
Corin
most base motherfucker
Corin,
on the
you
internet.
are amazing. He did the Cast Castle vlog episode. The ending, man, warms my heart. I hope we can get the Cast Castle vlog to the point where it's comparable to like mainstream sitcom level stuff. But we're just a bunch of scrappy upstarts in a startup. But the ending of that episode, when Corin Nemec says his name is Jonas Quinn and he enters the Stargate, it hurt. It hurt inside. Corin, it hurt. Because I love Stargate SG-1. And to see, even
Tim's
though it was
chat
a gag,
is brutal against us. That's
for
why
a
I'm
brief
showing it on
moment,
the
Jonas
screen.
Quinn brought back to
Tim's
life.
chat knows what's up.
Love Stargate, man. Anyway.
Tim is coming across as so inauthentic to me.
In order to do movies, you have to do negotiations. And in order to negotiate with producers and comedians, they expect confidentiality, same as we do. If someone comes to me and says, I want to do a TV show, here's the idea. It has to be solicited. We have to accept it. And there has to be an agreement between both parties as to what the negotiation terms are. If there's a person who has access, either because they're an employee of the company or a long-term resident or contractor of the property, it voids your NDA. It's not completely, but the advice we got from our legal was, if you do not have all of your employees under NDA, your NDA becomes unenforceable. Because if you have one employee
interesting, isn't it?
Is allowed to speak within the company about the projects he works on, but not outside the company, and another employee who is allowed to speak about anything at the company, then you have no NDA. Person A is under NDA and says, wow, we're going to do Jurassic Park parody. He then tells the video editor, who's not under NDA, and the video editor can tell whoever he wants, we can't go after anybody. But more importantly,
that is not why Tim implemented the NDAs.
That says,
This is not why Tim implemented the NDAs. He implemented the NDAs because of Lydia. Tim is lying. I mean, there may be truth to some of the things that Tim is saying. There may be truth to it. But ultimately, this was not the reason that he implemented the NDAs. He is not being truthful here.
Acknowledge you have full rights to enter into this agreement. If it turns out that someone at the castle was allowed to produce their own content, their own shows, and they were not restricted
Thank
in
you,
access
Rabbi
to
X,
information
for joining. I appreciate
or
it.
confidentiality, we could not enforce, and thus we could not, no one would enter into a contract with us. I'm not acting like that's the absolute reality of how law works. All I know is that's what our lawyer said. And so the day came where, Allison and I went to Adam and Nish, and we were like, it's kind of sucky, but there was no slamming a pen on the table with a contract or anything like that.
Oh, Tim did watch it, didn't he?
We don't want you guys to leave. We want you to stay and be a part of the crew and keep doing your thing. But we have to have everybody who's an employee of the company sign an NDA. And you guys are employees of the company. And they went.
Tim's NDA, if what Tim is saying is true right now, and he just did this because everyone had to be under an NDA, and Adam didn't want to sign that specific NDA. Do you know what Tim could have done if he wanted to keep Adam? He could have rewritten the fucking NDA. Adam's big beef, my understanding with the NDA, is it would have given Tim ownership rights over every single thing that he did. Tim could have simplified down an NDA so it didn't include any of the parts that Adam, or quite frankly, anyone else that worked for him, could have objected to. So to say that this was like, this is just it, Adam, if you don't sign this specific version of the NDA, then we can't do this anymore, that is bullshit. That is not how business works. That is not how negotiations with your employees work. Tim could have had a super simplified NDA that, for quite frankly, no one on his team would have had problems with. That is not what Tim did. He put together something that was overly complicated and reached way outside the bounds of confidentiality. So again, Tim is lying and obfuscating the truth.
No, absolutely not. I won't do it. And I was like, okay, I've been paying you for a year. You do your own show and make your own money. I'm just basically giving you the salary. If you don't want to sign the NDA, then you can't be here. And that's not because I'm mad at you. It's just because we're trying so hard to build something. And I said, there's a house next door for sale, and I hope you guys buy it and come and hang out whenever you want. Keeping in mind, there's restrictions on what we can do because of the NDAs. And they said no. They had wanted to move back to Sweden for some time, apparently. And I said, okay, I'm sorry to hear it. Good luck, bro. And I paid the moving costs, which I think came out to like between 10 or 20 grand for them to move back to Sweden with all their stuff. And, the last thing I told them was like Adam had to change the name from Adamcast because it was derivative, and he's just got to change it, make something different. And that's when he left. That's the main story, I guess. I don't understand how after all this time, I end up at probably like the worst moment possible.
Oh my
These
God,
people are
Tim!
posting an address they think is mine. I don't live there.
Tim, just so everyone knows, Tim is now doing this. Woe is me. I am the victim. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. It's the worst moment possible. Tim is doing this to make himself the victim. Had Adam done this a year ago, Tim would have said, woe is me. I am the victim. This is the worst moment possible. Had Adam done this 6 months ago, Tim would have said, woe is me. I am the victim. This is the worst moment possible. Tim would have said this regardless of when Adam did that. And I really want people to hear that and understand it. What he is doing is rewriting reality where he is the victim in this, and everyone else except Tim and Lydia are to blame for what happened. But if it had happened a year ago, he would have said the same thing. If it happened 6 months ago, he would have said the same thing.
A picture of a house that is not the same address. Yeesh. Trending. Getting people, I'm being hit up by so many people. I'm getting strangers calling my phone, insulting me and threatening me, things like that. And at this worst possible moment, this guy who, I get it, man. We were good friends and things went bad and we both have our view of things. Would start talking about my girlfriend, my brother.
He said nothing bad about your girlfriend, Tim. He said nothing negative about Allison at all.
About my relationships.
Was every nice thing that Adam said about Allison last night a lie? Adam did not say one has anyone watching right now ever seen or heard Adam say one negative thing about Allison at all? So why is Tim pretending he did?
Or maybe he's just wrong and for some reason decided it was appropriate to say things about my family that aren't true without knowing whether they're true or not. They're not true. And I don't even want to talk about what those things are. But he of course did. And it's like this is not the core. You know, it's funny because I tweeted, when you get successful, you figure out who, you know, your true friends are and who's evil.
Now he's going to call Adam evil. Oh yeah, okay, Tim.
It has something to do with something else that's completely public and obvious. So many people probably well, it has to do with a lot of things. Nothing specific, to be completely honest. Because I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression about what they think it might be about. It's just a general statement about how people that I knew since I was a kid, you know, from back in Chicago, all of a sudden are just saying, like, there's a dude I've known for so long. Lived with this guy, skated with this guy. Crazy how he just one day, out of nowhere, without giving me a phone call, starts making up lies about me. And I was like, I don't understand. Why would you do that? Like, I never said anything bad about you. The last thing I ever said to you was like, later, homie. See you on the flip side. Last time we skated together. It's funny, there's that saying about how, like,
yes, she
one day
did.
You'll pick up your child for the last.
Yes, she did. Last night, Lisa Poole sent in a super chat to Adam. Lisa Poole is Tim's sister. And Lisa has a whole other thing that she wants to talk about. And you should really go follow Lisa on TikTok just in case Lisa decides to share some information. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But Lisa Poole is Tim Poole's sister.
Last time, and you won't realize it. That's a sad saying, man. And I just don't understand. You know, there was one day where me and my buddy skated for the last time, and we didn't know it. And that's so brutal. This is not Adam, by the way. But for this guy to then, you know, try and just destroy my life.
Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, Tim. I've had one. Okay. This is a personal thing, but like someone that Tim is friends with has been doing exactly the same shit to me for 2 fucking years, and Tim listened to that woman. So boo-hoo-hoo, Tim. I've had someone doing that to me, exactly what you're describing right now, for 2 fucking years. And you're friends with her, and you listened to her, and you bought into that bullshit. So I have absolutely no sympathy for you having a friend say something about you one time, because I've had this shit going on for 2 fucking years. Boo hoo, too bad, so sad.
It's so hard. You know what I mean? To deal with this so many times over and over again. There was a guy, so fucking hard to talk about this. This is my Tim Pool Cries on YouTube video. Every YouTuber has to do it. There was a guy that I worked with and lived with.
First true thing Tim has said in this entire thing.
And then one day,
Everyone has to do the crying video at some point.
started publishing my text messages with him, lying.
Yeah, I've had that happen
And
too.
I was just like, bro, why? What did I do to you? Any of you? Nothing. What was the last thing I ever said about Adam? We want to open a coffee house and sell his coffee, use his coffee brand. I wish him the best. And then he wants to come out and start spreading lies about my family and my relationships. Like, what did I do?
Exactly what you're doing right now, Tim.
Life's tough, but this is the hard reality. I wanted to take stock of
You are not the
life.
victim in this,
and
Tim.
it was a long time coming because it's not all about Adam. Adam plays a big role because he did a big live stream last night. I was hanging out with my friend and working over the, there's a lot of work that happens, making phone calls, trying to set up, an amazing show that I hope happens. And I don't, peddle in the drama stuff, but it got me thinking about the threats that I receive for the work that I do, the doxing of my house, the constant barrage that you get from betrayers and mutineers. And then possibly one of the hardest times for my family with the death threats we're getting, Adam decides to do that stream. And it was just like, I bust out laughing in the casino. I get a text message like, bro's on a 6-hour, at that time it wasn't 6 hours, but they were like, bro's doing this several hour stream, talking about your personal life and your family and your relationships, making accusations about you. This dude that I haven't talked to, who has never aired his personal business and kept it between us and tried to support him and help him and just make sure that everything was good. And when he had to leave, paid his way to leave because I was always there for him.
Tim is the innocent victim in all of this. Tim is perfect. He's never done anything wrong.
Talk about your girlfriend and your family.
He didn't say anything about your girlfriend.
Because it makes him feel better. And I thought to myself,
this is one of the most fake ass things I've ever seen in my life. Adam was hinting about it for weeks. And don't tell me Tim didn't know Adam was hinting about this. Adam was absolutely, I know everyone around Tim knew this was going to happen. I'm getting righteous indignation on Adam's behalf, even though Adam and I aren't even talking. Everyone around Tim knew this was going to happen. There is no way in this universe that Tim did not know this was coming. Unless he completely just blocked that out of his consciousness. There is no way that Tim didn't know this was coming.
For all the people who keep doing this, what did I ever do to you? Now, some people have said, clearly, Tim, it's your fault.
It is your fault, Tim.
If all these people around you keep doing it, then perhaps if you smell crap everywhere, check your boot. I know. They're right. I should check my boot. I should absolutely check my boot. And I learned a very important lesson. My girlfriend, Allison, is amazing, if you're listening. And she runs the administrative side of the company, which
is what Adam said on his stream last night.
And every day we learn a new lesson about why the corporate world exists the way it does. Because you don't know who your true friends are. And there is no, they say don't mix, friendship and business, things like that. It's true. Because even my friends from back home in Chicago, some of my best friends who thought it was appropriate after decades of knowing each other to come out and make up lies about me because it gives them something. You realize that some people are just evil and they never were your friends.
Now you're saying that Adam is evil? Adam is not evil. I am sorry. I might have disagreements with Adam, and he's definitely done me dirty, but Adam is not evil. To say that Adam is evil because you don't like that he told the truth about what happened, a truth, by the way, that he has been very consistent on since this all started. Because again, for those who don't know, I was talking to Adam when he got fired from Timcast, and he did get fired. Tim is lying if he's saying he didn't get fired. And what Adam did last night was completely consistent with what Adam told me 2 years ago.
who are like lefty right now even. And the left says, that's not true, Tim's lying. It's like literally true. And they're some of my best friends who are as loyal can be. And that's what I talk about, like talking to my friend who's like a lefty, and like we say these things because we listen to each other.
You don't listen to Adam, Tim. You never
and so
did.
What I started thinking when, I saw that I get a message from someone that Adam was doing the stream and making like personal accusations that weren't true, that had nothing to do with our business relationship, that were just damaging, defamatory, and to my family and to my personal reputation. Like not just like about my family. I'm like my brother never sued me. That didn't happen.
That did happen.
I was just like, take stock this holiday season of what you're thankful for. And I am very thankful for a lot of things. People like making up lies is what they do. Nobody, I don't live here. I don't live at the castle. Briefly did when there was substantially less people here. Don't live here now. I live in West Virginia in a private house. And then people say things like Tim moved all of his employees out to a commune or something. It's like, no, but only a few people actually live in the building. Like, I think three people, maybe I'm wrong. It's a very, very big building. There's a residential component outside of the office stuff. The employees all have houses, and they show up for work at 9 and they leave at 5. And the vlog is a joke. Like the vlog that people are like on the weekends, literally no one is here. It's an office building. I don't know. People make things up. So to come full circle to where we are, I didn't do this segment. People are saying damage control, and people are saying it's because of Adam. Adam added to it. I think if you guys like his content, you should watch it. I think my advice to Adam is to stop talking about me. I've asked him to come on the show as a guest before. He doesn't want to do it. I think my advice to Adam is to focus on the news and the stories and the culture and make your show what it should be, something bigger, and make a lot of money for yourself with your company. And that was always the case. That's my advice. But this is also about some other stuff too. It's just that, over the past year, it's really, really piled on. And I think it's because, as I mentioned, this was the biggest month we've ever had on TimcastIRL. There are people who are claiming like Timcast used to be so much bigger, back when Adam was on. And that's not true. It literally isn't true. Certainly, we got a lot of concurrent viewers. That may be largely due to COVID. A lot of it, I do believe, was due to the dynamic that we had, which was good. The biggest shows we ever had were after Adam left. Several of them. The show became something different, became something more. And the biggest month we ever had, by all means, go on Social Blade and check, was this past month. And that's just what we're going to keep doing. Grow the company, expand. The advice I got from everybody, traditional corporate advice. Say nothing, Tim. Say nothing. Don't debase yourself with drama. And I said, that is the correct thing to do. But I'm a stupid person. And I like transparency and authenticity. And
you're not being transparent or authentic, Tim.
When there is an issue, talking about it. So that's why I decided to do it on this channel, because this channel is like a secondary channel for me. I know a lot of you watch it, and I appreciate it. I mean, if you're watching it, you probably subscribe. And I didn't want to put on the Tim Pool channel because this channel was always designed as kind of like runoff, and so here we are. And TimcastIRL will never do drama passively. Like when I say like, oh, the Young Turks were talking about me, and I'll mention it, but we won't dedicate segments to people talking about me, because I think the show should be for you and about the things that concern you. And then this channel is kind of just like, oh, it's a channel I have, and I appreciate it. So it's tough out there, man. The reason I wanted to do a segment like this is because it's impossible to ignore everything all the time when this is the world we live in. It's impossible to ignore the people who, on a dime, decided to hate you. People you've known your whole life. On a dime? You don't know why. They just hate you.
Adam doesn't hate you, Tim. It is obvious to anyone who actually watched the stream last night. Adam does not hate you. Adam desperately wanted you to be friends. He wanted you to listen to him. You refused to listen to him because you were white knighting for Lydia and now have made up all sorts of lies to paint yourself as the innocent victim of Adam's evil abuse. Adam only wanted to be your friend, Tim. Even after last night, you can still see that Adam still wanted to be your friend. He wasn't interested in the money. The money was not what he cared about. He wanted to be your friend. So disappointing.
And then you have to deal with it. And, you know, I can tell my family and my true friends, my real friends, 1,000,001 times, ignore the threats, ignore the drama, don't read the comments. It's only going to get worse. The company is growing. We're hiring more people. We're launching new shows. This is the way it's going to be. If you can't handle that, then I don't know what to say. There are very few people in this world, maybe one or two, where if they said it's either me or the show, then I would say, so be it. And I would shut everything down and I would leave. And I would go live in my van down by the river in my privacy. Some of the most common advice I've ever gotten in my life in doing business, standing atop the roof, standing atop a roof in Chicago at a party with a bunch of politicians years ago when I was a young skateboarder. And these men were all very wealthy. And they said, the biggest mistake you will ever make is making yourself public. Take the money and run.
I agree with
likes
that.
To be hidden.
I agree with
You
that.
won't regret it. In various forms. Fame is the worst thing you could ask for. It's cool when I go to a casino and some dude recognizes me and fans me over and I meet a friend and we gamble and I have a tremendous night where I get a straight flush and we're winning and like all the troubles wash away of all the threats while the whole world is saying they want to kill me. I'm laughing my ass off, high-fiving some dude, nailing the Jack Queen King of Diamonds. And it was.
This is how you know that Tim is not really nervous about threats, because if he was really nervous about threats, he wouldn't leave his fucking house and he would have 24-hour security guarding him because Tim can more than afford it. This is how you know that Tim is being disingenuous when he's saying, this is the worst possible time for Adam to do this to me because I am just so threatened and I am a victim of the world and everyone hates me and everyone wants to kill me. But he's going out to the casino and just like hanging out. Listen, I don't like, you know, Tim should be able to go to the casino. Tim should be able to have fun. He should be able to do whatever he wants to do. He has more than earned it. But to say that like, this is like the worst possible time because everyone's threatening me and I'm under constant like fucking, like threat of someone attacking me. That does not mesh with Tim's behavior of let's go out to the casino and hang out. Tim could more than afford to hire 24-hour security for everyone that works for him if he wanted to. If Tim was actually concerned about threats, that is exactly and precisely what Tim would do. But he is not concerned about threats, which is why he didn't do it. Which is why you know that when he says this is the worst possible timing that Adam could have done this, it is just to make him the victim. That is all it is. It is to rewrite reality to make Tim the victim and Adam the one who's evil.
Was like $1,400 or whatever. I tossed a black chip to the dealer and to all the players at the table because I'm not there, you know, to make money. I'm there to have a good time and to create a memory for everybody. The money you lose is just the cost of smiling and laughing with the people around you. You know, that's a great thing, and that's the advantage of notoriety is that there are people who care about you, who believe in you, who protect you, and who cheer you on the whole time. But for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Well, let's see. Tom says, you think he's fake now. Wait till you see him try to fake a phone call or text at 2 hours and 14 minutes. So embarrassing. I watch him every day up until this live. Well, let's just, I mean, we're getting there. We're about there. We got about half an hour left of his stream. So we're almost there, guys.
And that is for every good person.
And I'm going to say this again. Mark, who I have literally never seen in my chat and who I've never seen comment on my channel before, if you don't like it, don't watch it. I will be doing Socialism Saturday in an hour and a half. If you want to come back for Socialism Saturday, which I guarantee you won't do, because the people who complain, this is a drama channel, you've just changed so much. People like you who complain are mysteriously never around for Socialism Saturday, never around for Schools Exposed, never around for any of the other streams I do. You only show up on these streams to complain about the fact that I'm doing these streams. So if you don't like it, come back in an hour and a half and we will do something else.
Who smiles and waves. There is someone who brandishes a weapon or, makes a threat. And you have to move, get away from these cities for a variety of reasons. Not really just the threats.
A phone call from
I don't like the
Cassandra
laws in New
Fairbanks would
Jersey.
not be an emergency.
COVID was bad. We tried securing a building. The building fell through. There's a lot of complicated stuff. But, mo money, mo problems is true. You'd be, the reality is this. It's not really mo money, mo problems. It is, in a sense, like with taxes and stuff and like paperwork and accounting. But the reality is the more people know you have money, the more problems you'll face. Dave Chappelle talked about it when they announced that $50 million contract or whatever. He said he was like a marked pig on a train. He couldn't go out. All of a sudden, they're telling everyone on the TV that he was worth all this money, that, he didn't have it. So he just said, I'm out. I don't want to do this. He wasn't a culture warrior, though. He's just like
stick around. We're doing a stream at 6.
Comedian kind of guy.
A regular stream, not this.
Second Amendment's just there in case the first one doesn't work out. He's a good dude. And he was right. But he could choose to walk away from that. I could. And don't think I haven't thought about it. It's hard. You make a certain amount of money and you know that you never have to want for anything. Why trouble yourself with death threats every single day? Why trouble yourself with people trying to find your address? So the reality is you could be super rich as long as nobody knows who you are. None of your friends and none of your family members know you have money.
Wait, what did Lydia tweet? What did she tweet? Hang on, let me look real quick. What did she tweet? Log in under my secret Twitter. What did she tweet? Let's see. Oh, don't at me. Oh, that's funny. And then she said 12 seconds ago, Lydia tweeted 12 seconds ago, people enjoying my personal life today. I'm glad you're having fun with it. And then a picture of a sicko looking in through a window. All right. I mean, Lydia's going to handle it how she's going to handle it, I suppose.
Golden. It means you can't spend it, but you can pay your medical bills. You can do things, That's the real advice, I guess. If you want to make money, do it in a way where no one realizes you have it. So you never have to deal with the evil people lurking out of the woodwork trying to destroy you for no reason.
That's good advice.
Don't tell family members, because you'd be surprised when family members turn on you.
That's good advice.
That's the truth. And don't be famous. I think it's funny when people are like, I commented on Adam's stream. I said, let's do a stream. We'll talk about it.
No, you didn't.
It's like, no matter what you say, people are going to talk to you. They're going to say, you're not telling the truth. He is.
Tim, you were gaslighting Adam through super chats at the end of the stream. You did not say in the super chats, let's do a stream, Adam. Let's talk about it. You did not say that. We watched it at the beginning of this stream. You did not do that, Tim. You tried to gaslight him and throw the money in his face to say $250,000 wasn't enough for you, Adam. Another blatantly provable false lie that Tim has told on this stream.
No, whatever, dude. It's like,
hang on, I got a super chat coming in from Cyrus. Sorry about that. I like to read super chats when they come in, so I know what the context is. I'll never forget when you did that stream, you said you wanted to talk about love. The conservatives hated it, but I knew you was a gem at that moment. Oh, the one where I said that God loves everyone unconditionally. Oh yeah, conservatives hate me telling hate me telling people God loves you unconditionally, no matter how bad you are, no matter what crazy things you do. God loves you unconditionally. The conservatives hate that shit. They do. Wonder why. That's another topic for another day. Guys, mount that like button for me if you have not already. Again, I will be going live at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. Socialism Saturday is significantly more important than this crap. It is some of the most dystopian shit you will ever see in your life. So if you don't, well, I mean, you're watching right now, so I have to assume that you like this. But if you want my real stuff, come back at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. We'll have some beers. We'll watch some crazy people. It'll be great.
There's literally no point in addressing it, because the people who don't like you will always not like you. And the people who like you will like you, and they'll defend you. And so it's just like, what's the point of doing it? And so PR wise, there's every advantage in just saying, do not tell the stories of anything. Do not talk about private work. Do not talk about this stuff. And there's also much more with other people and other employees. But I don't air, the personal laundry of people unless they want it to be. But I thought, just to give you my thoughts, not everything is about addressing one moment of drama. I wanted to do this just because it's the holiday.
No, you
Mainly, I'm
didn't,
bored,
Tim. You are such a
sitting around
liar.
drinking coffee, this is boring.
You are such a liar,
I
Tim.
haven't done any shows over this past week.
He did this entirely because of Adam.
Super boring. And, it's therapy, right? I've long talked about that too. I've said a couple things. I'm a guy complaining about things on the internet. Basically having my therapy session on the things that
I
bother
knew
me
you
and the
couldn't
things
stay
I
away,
see,
King of Diamonds.
to the
I'm
people
glad
who
you like
watch,
that comment.
because I'm tired. Like when I
Thank you
see
for
some
that.
media outlet lie, I want to scream it out loud. They're lying. And so I yell at you. Turn it into a business. How about that? There's reality. People don't like you. People never going to like you. So be it. If I can take some stuff in the chat, and it is what it is. I think it's funny. I'll give a shout out to Anomaly, because he's been saying some stuff about us for a while. I don't know Anomaly. The only thing I really knew, I think didn't he do like a song where he mentioned me in it? He got invited on the show. I didn't handle the booking. I don't know what happened with the booking. I didn't know there was an issue with the booking until like the last minute when some tweets came out or something. And then I'm like, guys, I have no idea what's going on. So I apologize. I don't know what happened. And if, employees here were acting inappropriately, there's only so much I can do and can know about. And, I don't want to call it an excuse or not an excuse, but it's reality, man. I don't handle the booking for the show. I literally don't. There's a few guests I might DM and be like, hey, would you want to come back on? And like Dr. Drew followed me, and I hit him up with like, hey man, like it'd be super cool to have you on talking about this stuff. 99% of the guests, the day of, I find out they're booked. I don't handle the travel. I don't handle any of that stuff. And I don't know about communications between these individuals or like what happens. And sometimes guests fall through and I'm just like, I don't know. So apologies, Anomaly. I have no idea what happened, but I'd love to have you on at some point. I think people, I don't know. It would be really cool if we did like, here's a reason why I really wanted to do this segment, this live thing. It's like to explain that. I know a lot of people, the people who like the show don't need to justify. The people who don't like the show are going to hate it anyway. But I firmly believe that it's beneficial to mankind for people to understand how things are behind the scenes and how people feel and how things work. So like addressing the Anomaly thing, to like just get all the drama out there. Like he was tweeting about it, and I'm just like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like I know something happened, but I don't know. Like, he was trying to get booked and then didn't work out. My understanding, like what I knew was that he was trying to fly in like on the day of, and then the flight got canceled or delayed or something. And he wasn't going to make it. So I was told, hey, the guest's not going to make it. Their flight was delayed. And I was pissed. I was like, what? Like, why aren't they flying the day before or first thing? And it was like, well, it was a mistake. And I'm like, okay, well, that's dumb. What are we doing? It's like, we'll have someone fill in. And I was like, okay, I guess. I don't know. Now
I don't know anything about the Anomaly stuff. I really don't. I mean, contrary to what I'm doing right now, I truly don't actually pay that much attention to this stuff unless there's something psychologically interesting to me about it. And this is like an employee issue, so it's interesting to me, but I have no idea what the Anomaly stuff is. Jenny's getting inky with it, says he's kind of proving Lids didn't do her job since she did the booking, and he didn't do his to see why booking was fucked up. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
it would have been a way better guest, but And then there are other people who just like, I don't even know why they hate me. Like, just like spreading gossip and rumors, but that's the reality of this business. You know, we try to pay over market to a lot of people for the jobs they do. Some people here work harder than others because the tasks they do is a reality of business. I want everybody to be able to have their basic needs met.
Well, okay, so Gerald says, reading through Twitter, Lydia's husband is trying to protect her honor. Well, Lydia's husband, one of the things I did catch, because I was, again, I didn't watch any of the stream, but I was waiting to see when it ended because I wanted to make sure that I downloaded it just in case Tim deleted it. And what I did see is at the very, very end of the stream, Lydia's husband super chatted in, basically giving all glory to Tim or something like that. And again, listen, man, I don't particularly care what Lydia's done in the past. Lydia has since gotten married. She has moved on. They seem to be happy. And regardless of what Lydia has done in the past and how people feel about that, I don't think Lydia's current husband should hold it against her. That doesn't seem fair. Again, guys, every single person has skeletons in their closet. Every single person has done things in life that they regret. And if Lydia is happy with her husband and her husband is happy with her, really, then none of this should honestly matter, because it's been years since all this stuff went down. I mean, people grow. It is what it is. And I don't actually think that people should be giving Lydia's husband that much shit about this, because he wasn't even involved when all this stuff happened. Although I have heard some stories about him too, but that's a different thing for a different day.
I want the people who work on creative projects to get paid proportionate to the revenue generated by those projects. For the most part, TimcastIRL is the flagship. The Tim Pool Daily Show went from being a top 50 podcast to being off the charts. And that's the thing too that I'll address in the beginning. Like, you really got to understand the reality of watching something like that happen. I spent a decade doing this work in news. I created a podcast called the Tim Pool Daily Show. I was getting 300,000 per segment on some videos, and I was getting 500,000 on my Tim Pool channel segments. The Tim Pool Daily Show reached peak like number 34 podcast, like top 50. And then I launched a new show, which is supposed to be different with a rev share, but due to the way it's formatted and the lack of pre-production, I end up just putting all of my energy from the Tim Pool Daily Show into TimcastIRL. And what ends up happening is the Tim Pool Daily Show fell off the rankings. And then some people even say I was thinking of canceling one or the other, but some people like the conversation format. Some people like the monologue format. So I keep them up both. That means I work 16-hour days all day, every day. And even from TimcastIRL for a year and a half, it was even on weekends, no days off, 0 days off, none, never, unless I was injured. And so watching something like that and being like, hold on a second. I can't answer this. 1 second. Let's see. Okay. Sorry. Somebody was calling me. What was I talking about? Yeah. Okay. So like watching, I built, just working literally by myself, a top 50 podcast, monologuing, a daily show. And it was getting 100,000 downloads per day, I think. Depended, between 50 and 100. And on YouTube, I was getting like 500K on Tim Pool, and I was getting like 300K. And then we launched TimcastIRL. And then all of a sudden, all of my viewership is going to this new show and this new channel. Not all of it, but it's splitting between people who are like, I like conversation better. And then me being like, hey, man, I don't want my like decade of work to shift into a totally different show and then have me just lose all that money. You know what I mean? That's the truth. It's not the ultimate reason why, Adam left the show or anything like that.
Wait, you said it was earlier.
And anybody who spends a decade building a business is going to
Tim just contradicted what he said earlier.
Crap. So I told him very early on, like I mentioned, it was like March. It was like the beginning of March or end of February. And I said, hey man, if I'm the one doing all the pre-production and my podcast is siphoning viewers from my channel where I do this work and make this money, like I need that to invest and build a company and like hire people. I can't just start a show that includes you and then give you a percentage of everything. That's why I asked him to come back on at a high salary, but not a percentage, because like you get paid for the work you do. You know, but again, ultimately it was like the difficulty of having two people who are your friends and one is screaming at them. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. People are saying I'm lying.
You are lying, Tim. You have lied several times in this stream. Several times. People are saying
stuff like they don't like IRL because I scream at Ian. And I'm like, you're right. Early on, I was mean to Ian. I feel really bad about that. Ian's such a cool dude. We still get into arguments. But y'all were right. People were like, Tim, you are being nasty. And then I would read these chats and then be like, I am being mean. I should not do that. I need to like assess. You know what I mean? I'll tell you a couple things to give you like a breakdown of how stuff works behind the scenes. Some people are like, I see the chat, Tim, let the guest speak. Let the guest speak. Ah. The best show ever was Milo Yiannopoulos because he just talked. That's the point of what IRL was supposed to be. I can only do so much. I wanted to do a conversation show because it meant the workload was divided. Other people would be involved, having their voices heard, and I could talk less. So when Milo started speaking for the first time in a few years on this show, when I need to address some things, I'll address some things. So I'll like, I'll address them. But for the most part, like
there is nothing that here's what I've seen, and people can offer their opinions about this because I don't really watch Tim's show. I really haven't. I have watched Tim's show more in the last month than I have watched Tim's show in 2 years. So I could very well be being wrong. But what I see on that show is Tim's core people who are always on that show or frequently on that show, to include people like Ian and Luke and whoever else is hanging around. What they do is they always defer to Tim. They always look to Tim to see Tim talking, to see what Tim is going to say, to see how Tim is going to react. Milo did not do that because Milo is a narcissist and he doesn't defer to anyone. But Tim's core people on that show would always defer to Tim. And that to me is reflective probably of how Tim was speaking to them behind the scenes, where Tim probably made it very, very, very clear that he expects to be in charge. He expects to be deferred to. And that is why Tim ends up doing most of the talking most of the time, because he brings on people who are only interested in kissing his ass so they can continue to be in his orbit, as it were. And those people know damn well that if they talk over Tim, there's going to be repercussions for that later. That's what I see. Could I be wrong? Sure. But let me know. Jenny's getting icky with it says, biggest takeaway from this is don't idolize the people you watch. They are human and susceptible to the same failings as any of us. That is great advice. That is great advice. Do not idolize the people you watch. They will always, if you believe that these people will pass any sort of purity test, and this includes me, I don't pass any purity tests either. If you believe that people are going to pass a purity test, they will always and completely disappoint you, because that's not the way life works. Human beings are imperfect. And I do quite frankly think we should be forgiving. I don't think that Tim is an evil person. I don't hate Tim, regardless of what some people are saying in the chat. I don't actually hate Tim. I think that the whole situation is very sad. And what I see in front of me is someone who is completely obfuscating and deflecting from responsibility that he clearly and obviously had in this situation, because he does not want to see himself as being at any sort of fault. Jenny says, Carlin's merely pointing them out for us to know what to look for and be more informed. Read the motives of those we watch. I'm trying to talk about the psychology of all of this. This is, guys, by the way, this is exactly what I do as an organizational psychologist when I work in organizations. I listen to people, I see how they respond to each other, and I provide an analysis for people. So what you're seeing right now, it might be with your favorite people on the internet or your least favorite people on the internet, depending on if you're hate watching or not. But like, this is something that I would do behind the scenes, like all the time. Grey Pelt says Tim likes hacker and social engineering stuff. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. All right, I think that's all the super chats. Thank you, guys. Let's wrap this up.
The man's going to speak, because if the guest wants to speak, they speak. The challenge we have with some guests is one of the reasons the shows work. The show works. I am reading your comments. I am reading your super chats. Periodically, I'll be like, we say these for us, but I want to read the super chat from this person. And I think this person makes an important point, and we want to have it part of the conversation. Some people, are telling me, like, they'll post Z's in the chat, like, move on. You've talked about this. We were debating abortion with Seamus, and it was like 15 minutes. And they were like, guys, we're done with this. And then I'm like, okay. Like, the audience is clearly expressing an interest in an expansion upon this. Oftentimes we'll have guests who don't assert themselves. I cannot make them speak. I'll look to them and point. And Luke, you'll know Luke does this. He'll say something like, did you want to have any thoughts, so-and-so? Because we do want them to. But in a 4-person conversation podcast, you need to see it in their face and see the expression that they're going to.
Why do you think they don't want to speak, Tim? Because they're afraid of you.
I heard a noise. Hold on a second. You need to see their expression and know that they're ready to speak up. Oh, okay. I'm getting called because I have extremely big news. 1 second. Oh my God. I just got one of the best text messages I've ever received in my life. That's why they keep calling me. I got a text. Oh my God. Y'all are going to see something. I'm excited. All right. You know what, man? I wish I could.
I'm gonna say this. I do believe whatever just happened is actually real. I don't believe he's faking this. I believe something did actually just happen. Because what we just saw right there, to be quite frank, is probably the most authentic that Tim has looked in this entire stream. So I do believe that was real. Guys, we're going to wrap this up until Tim concludes, and then I'm going to do a little debrief, and then we're going to conclude this. And as a reminder, Socialism Saturday is still on. It starts at 6 p.m. If you're watching this, come back for Socialism Saturday. See some real dystopian shit, man. I promise you, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be a great episode this week. We are looking at trans communists. These people are crazy. It's going to blow your mind. So come back at 6 p.m. We're still doing Socialism Saturday on schedule.
Read all your super chats. I do want to read a little bit. I just got a text message. I gotta get to work. I gotta make a bunch of phone calls. I gotta losing my mind getting stuff done, because like even on the weekends, we don't bring people in and secure some of the interviews we do without working nonstop all day, every day. So here's what I want. I want to travel to the stars. I want humans to be space colonizers.
Are they bringing on Musk? Are they getting Musk?
Humanity.
Elon. I bet it's Musk.
To travel,
it's Musk.
To expand.
I bet it's
develop.
Musk.
We need more people. More people.
Hey, man, good for him.
The depopulation people, they're insane. Malthusianism or whatever it's called. Elon Musk is completely right. And I'll say it again. I absolutely admire the man for 2 reasons. He's correct about population growth. We need more people. He's correct about space colonization. He's hit the nail on the head with the hammer. And he's put up so much of his money to buy Twitter and win. And take the risks and call it out. He can do better. But so deeply respect that guy. Here's what I want to see. I want to see his success. I want to see all the people that were my friends stay my friends.
Then you have to treat them like friends,
Adam
Tim.
Succeed. So you guys can watch his show if you want. I want respect for personal boundaries. Like, I don't know what my relationship has to do with Adam's story or why he did that to me. That's the reality of living like this. And it's going to get substantially worse next week. I know. And so not a day goes by that I don't have to ask myself, what's better? Sitting in this room, growing this business, saying the things I say with all the bad that comes with it. Or
I really hope somebody, like a body language expert, does an analysis on this. I really, really do. NSX said, also, Tim firing Adam was suspiciously close to Tim changing his mind on Trump, and Adam gloating, told you so on stream. It infuriated him and argued, pretending like Adam didn't hold that opinion first. You could always tell that Tim was annoyed with Adam. You could always tell.
Or would it not be better to simply
It was Elon.
retire
Yeah.
after making the first $1 million?
Well, that makes sense.
And just say, I know I owe nothing to nobody. With this money,
I mean, good for him.
retiring with more than most people have, I can live in a van. I care for very little in that regard. Material possessions are not something I'm super concerned about. And I can hang out and just go fishing. And there's a lot of people that I love and respect and in my family that would prefer that, especially when people are threatening to kill me. So it's I'll tell you this. You know what I don't care about? These Antifa soy boys. We're going to find out where you live. I'm like, oh, okay, come to MAGA Country Mountain, bro. Please don't. I'm kidding. Like, you're going to get hurt. These people out here, I'm looking at the forest right through this window. You can see it's right there. You know what I do care about? Isn't the people who are my friends for the longest time decide they want to hurt me for no reason. It's like, okay.
It's not for no reason, Tim, which you would know had you actually listened.
I know how I can hurt him. I'm going to spread rumors about his girlfriend.
No one talked badly about your girlfriend.
We had a bad business relationship. I'm sure I deserved it. I'm sure I deserve all of it. You know why? You know why I deserve all of it? It's true, because I'm rich. It's not fair to anybody. It's not fair, says the universe, that you live a life free from harm. I've never felt that way. I don't believe that. I believe that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so the reality is this. I work very, very hard, sacrifice a lot. And it's only because of you that it turns successful. It's only because of people, humanity, that all of the collective voices of those who like what I do contribute a tiny piece which lifts me up in an insane way. No one is deserving of that power. And of course, with it comes karmic justice. I don't believe that if you're a good person,
it's not the way karmic justice works.
I believe that everyone will experience conflict, strife, happiness, and success. And so that means if you're going to live a life where you are wealthy because you've succeeded, there will be in the universe a karmic balance.
That's not how that works, Tim.
And a lot of celebrities believe this.
That's not how that works. That's not how it works.
But that's not hardship. That doesn't, you can't pay away the karma. You know, you don't get to be free from harm. For the average person, their struggles are, I can't afford my bills. A real problem for people, medical bills. I believe we need to solve that problem. I don't have that issue because I'm successful. And so it's not fair that I would just get to be free. I don't know if it's fair or just or the universe, but I view it as like universal.
Tim has no idea how any of this works.
There must be something that gives me strife and conflict, because you do not live. It is not.
Tim, you experience strife and conflict when you look for strife and conflict. When you believe about yourself that you are a person that has to exist with strife and conflict, you will attract strife and conflict. That's why you have strife and conflict. It's not because you're successful. It's not because you made a lot of money. It's not because of any of this. It's because you are a person who believes that you need strife and conflict in order to be successful. And you are a double fucking Pisces, Tim. Whatever you believe in your head will come true in reality, because that's the way it works with Pisces. That's the whole thing. So if you don't want strife and conflict, then stop seeing yourself as a person that needs to experience strife and conflict. That's how woo works.
this is not the way life is. You don't get to just be living in a marshmallow factory where it's nothing but, fluff and love and, all that stuff. I should read some of these super chats because I do have to get this phone call. Holy crap. What do we have here? What is this? Grafty says, this rooster is staying in the coop you have built, Tim. Buck, shade and sweet water to the entire Cast Castle crew. Let's see. Will someone pick up the mic? Worst teaser ever. I don't know if I can actually go through and read all these.
Jamie, you have taken multiple classes with Joshua. He has explained this multiple times.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says Roberto Jr. is second best.
You heard from the horse's mouth on this.
That's a tough call, man. We love you, Raymond. We do.
Like, you're the one taking his classes.
But Roberto Jr. is one of our top talents. If we started disparaging him, you get very... Okay. Yeah. I appreciate all the super chats. And I don't want to leave without reading so many. But I don't want to read the ones that are disparaging. I want Adam to succeed. I've always wanted Adam to succeed. I wanted to have him run the Cast Castle vlog and be the main guy running it. But I understand why he didn't want to do it. It doesn't work when, it was funny. I saw a comment. They were like, Tim is rigid and Adam is fluid.
Yes.
And they're both alphas.
Correct.
And I was like, I'm
Correct.
not, no, certainly not.
Oh, that is such bullshit, Tim.
But Adam is his own, he's a leader, not a follower. So it doesn't work. In the end, that's all that really matters. He knows what he needs and what he wants, and that's why he needs to have his own show and should not be working for my company.
Very rigid.
The same is true for any high-profile, high-top talent person. We cultivate talent here. We're trying to. People that we think are awesome, and we want them to succeed, and I want them to get paid for their success, and I don't want their money. I don't want to do an IPO for this company. I don't want to sell shares. I don't want to take investment. So it would work if I just said, you get paid dirt and we get everything. And then I put all the money into whatever I wanted. But TimcastIRL and Timcast are the flagship that make most of the money. I'm not going to give that to somebody else. The hosts that we have for the new stuff we're launching, when we get to the point where your shows generate $1 million, like, don't need it, don't want it. I'm content. I'm happy. I want to build new stuff. I want you to have access to it. You know what that means? I've been warned about this from entertainment lawyers. They're like, you realize that means they're going to quit the moment you give them a big payout. I'm like, I guess. Yep. So get them under contract now. Yeah. So we do have employment contracts.
Hang on. This is almost done. He's got about 6 minutes left of this stream. Multi-Drider says, I remember you asking Joshua if lots of stuff happens at Tim's, and he said no, but possibly someone being inappropriate, which sounds like Lydia. I mean, maybe we'll ask Joshua on Tuesday. Did Tim fire Adam or did Adam quit? We'll be able to see. We'll have to see.
Because I don't want people to take the investment money. We're going to invest a lot of money into getting people advertising and shows and building studios for them. I only ask I get that money back if/when you become successful. That's what the contract is for. I learned the hard way. If you don't get a contract, even when you do. All right. Man. Kevin says, hey, Tim, thanks for the great life stories. You should check out the
I also want to say this. Like, you saw Adam last night. Adam was taking super chats for 3 hours last night. And I am not the great defender of Adam's audience. I think a lot of people in Adam's audience are not good people at all. I think they're toxic. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But Adam stayed with his audience for 3 hours last night. The fact that Tim went and took a phone call rather than read through super chats of his audience just showed you that exactly what Adam said last night on the stream about Tim being completely unappreciative of what his audience sends him. It shows that that's true. Like, if you have super chats from your audience, there is not a single stream, and God knows I don't get as many super chats as Tim or even like Adam, but like, I would never end a stream unless I absolutely had to without making sure that I acknowledged those chats. Adam did not end that stream last night until he was done acknowledging the people who were supporting him. Tim saying, guys, I really got to take this phone call right now. It's very important. I got to take this phone call. Just shows you exactly where his priorities are. He doesn't want to acknowledge the people supporting him, probably because he feels entitled to it.
another state of mind. What is it? Oh, hold on. I got to scroll. Mind about Social D and Minor Threat tours from when they started. Early punk days were raw and creative. Ghost Crusader says, Adam is a good actor. The only truth he said last night was, if Tim wanted to do a show again,
and
he would
that's
have
the one
to
he
come
chose
to
to
my show
read.
first, and then I would do his if I got all his super chats. I just think that's weird. Like, I don't understand what that means.
So Tim just said 2 minutes before this, Tim was like, I don't want to read super chats that disparage Adam. And I'm not going to read all the super chats. I'm just going to read the ones that aren't disparaging. And then one of the ones he chooses to read before he leaves is, a chat saying Adam is a great actor and he just wants all your super chat money, Tim. Again, another lie happening right in front of us right now.
You know, I said I would do a stream with him. And then people were like, you're grifting. And I'm like, I do a stream on his thing. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll just do a stream. You know, it is what it is. We don't do a lot of ad reads. Let me tell you a secret, guys. I don't know if it's a secret. A bunch of people wanted to sign us. Buyout, sign, license. And I said, sounds good, sounds good, sounds good, because there is no in business. There is no, quote, no in business. Only terms. Business people understand that. If I called you up and said, I want you to run the cashier at, well, I'll say this. If McDonald's called you up and said, we want you to run the cashier at our Omaha branch, we'll fly you out, and this is your job, 40 hours a week, what would you say? You know, a lot of people say, no. Wrong answer. Because there is no in business, only terms. The correct answer, how much? What do I get? What's your offer? Now, I don't think they're actually going to call you and offer you $1 million to run a cash register, but here's a simple thing. Someone called me and said, we want you to run the cash register at McDonald's. I'd say, how much? If they came back and said $15 an hour, I'd be like, thanks for wasting my time. Have a nice day. They said, what do you want? I'd say, to run a cash register? I got a big company. I got people rely on me. You'd have to pay me $30 million a year. Then I could use that money to support the employees and not leave them hanging. But I don't even know if it's worth it because I like what I do. So I don't know if it's a dollar amount. But if you're someone who's looking for a job, you know, the answer is just how much. And the worst case scenario is you don't take a job you didn't want to take. So there's no in business, only terms. I don't care about the super chats, the money.
Oh, bullshit, Tim.
I appreciate the money. It is good. It like proves that we like rank or whatever. But we don't do ad reads. We've done a few. Some people are complaining about established titles. I'll immediately contacted our agency and said, what is this? Figure it out. Because I'm not okay with what people are saying. Until I know for sure, I don't want to say too much because I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. We've done like 6 reads per month. Watch any other show. Even Joe. Like Rogan, what does he do? Like 3 reads per spot per episode, like 3 reads every ad in his episode, and he does a bunch. We do on the podcast version. I think there's 6 ad reads. It might double up, so it does 2 commercials at once. Many of them are programmatic. So we do programmatic ads. If we did sold reads, I think this company would probably make like $30 million a year.
This company does make $30 million a year.
And they say, hey,
this company does make
all
that.
This money to sign with us.
They do make that.
And I say, show me. And they send me the contract, and the contract says,
they do make that.
You'll have to do 3 ad reads per episode live. And I'm like, bro, I am not going to do TimcastIRL. And then at 8:30, be like, hold that thought, Luke. Today's sponsor for the 8:30 segment is, we do the 1 ad read in the front when we feel like it. Because I want to balance premium quality with, you know, succeeding in the business. I addressed the Adam stuff. I hope this was more informative than just that. I don't expect anybody who are fans of his to like me. You're allowed to hate me. It's fine. I wish he didn't do it at the worst possible time. I wish he didn't drag my family into it with gossip that's not true. And that's reality. And I wish for him the best. And y'all can pick up his coffee, Crigler coffee. And and people are saying that I don't know exactly everything he was saying, but people were saying that they were mad because I was shouting out his product. I just don't understand. I thought like we were solid. You know, we had an issue. But I hope there was more to this than just that, like telling the story about how all this came to fruition. There's, of course, little things here and there. Could probably write a book about it. I really got to take this phone call. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. Sorry I couldn't read or address more, but
all right.
Hey, we're gonna see you around. I got a phone call. Y'all are gonna be very happy. I'll see y'all next time.
All right. So that's it. I got this super chat from Not That Guy. I super chatted pretty much all those people trying to sponsor them, was completely overlooked and told it wouldn't be worth it. More people would buy what I was making myself than the crap knives and a land scam. Yeah, I think that that's probably true. Not That Guy. What Tim said at the end is not true. I'm sorry. What Tim said at the end is not true. Adam, even last night, as he was doing his video, Adam was not mean to Tim. He did not say he hated Tim. He did not encourage his audience to hate Tim. He did not say anything bad about Tim's girlfriend, Allison. Adam was almost 100% focused last night on Lydia and how much he hates Lydia. Now, I think that Adam is wrong to put so much focus on Lydia, but that's his perspective. I think that Lydia is just as much a victim of this situation as Adam is, quite frankly, because I think they're both in love with Tim. I think they're both obsessed with Tim. I don't understand it, but that's their thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that Tim used Adam. And the reason that Tim had no idea that Adam was upset is because Tim never listened to Adam. Anyone who had watched any of Adam's content, and I don't even really watch Adam's show, but I hear about things. Anyone who had watched even the slightest little bit of his content would know that Adam was upset. Adam's been talking about this for 2 years. He's been dropping hints for 2 years. Like, it's not even that hard. And the fact that Tim wants to pretend that he was oh so surprised by all of this, one of two things is true here. Either Tim was genuinely oh so surprised about this, or Tim did not listen to anything that Adam said basically from the moment they started working together until now. One of those two things is true. And I don't know which one is better or worse. At the end of the day, I think that this all comes down to Tim being focused on money and making himself be successful, and Adam just wanting to be friends with Tim. And I think the Lydia stuff, honestly, is kind of a sideshow, if I'm blunt about it. Tim was the one who set the tone in that house. And I've heard this from multiple people and not just Adam. Tim flies off the handle at people all the time. Tim was flying off the handle at Lydia. So to claim that he was just being completely appropriate and stepping in to protect Lydia from the mean and vicious Adam, that's just not true. There is so much that Tim said in that is provably false. And the thing of it is I really do believe that Tim believes it's true. This is the real bitch of this whole thing. I really do believe that Tim believes it's true because I believe Tim has narcissistic personality disorder and he has to reframe all of reality so that it paints him as the poor abused victim who is always right and everyone always just takes advantage of him. And it paints everyone else as the asshole. Adam is not the asshole in this scenario. He just wasn't. I think that Adam found himself in a really unfortunate position that he tried to make the best of it. I think he did the best he could. I think he was probably extremely hurt by Tim because Adam thought they were friends and he didn't really realize what was going on. And that is not Adam's fault. And the whole thing's just really sad. But as I've said from the very beginning, and I said this from the moment that Adam was fired off of that show, I think Adam is in the right. I do not think Tim is correct. I think Adam is in the right. I have always thought that. That is separate from whatever bullshit Adam and I have going on. Adam is 100% correct about what he did. I am glad that Adam did the stream last night because he clearly needed to talk about it. It was clearly a weight lifted off of his shoulder. And if you need any more evidence that Tim is wrong in this situation, you can look at the super chats that Tim sent last night at the end of Adam's stream, in which Tim overtly tried to gaslight him while he was live on the internet. If Tim really cared about any of this, he should have picked up the phone and called Adam months ago. Just because you pay for someone to move to Sweden does not mean that you're really their friend. Just because you buy someone a $2,000 bottle of whiskey does not mean that you're not really that you're really their friend. Friends listen to each other. Friends care about other people's feelings. Friends talk to each other. And I think Adam treated Tim like a friend. I do not think Tim treated Adam like a friend. And that is why you're seeing this whole situation blow up in his face right now. And I think anyone that has watched this scenario can see very, very clearly that the stream that Adam did last night, where he was obviously nervous from the beginning, Adam looked so terrified at the beginning of that stream. He looked so nervous. He wasn't even looking at the chat. He looked so nervous. Adam is the one that was being authentic in this, and now Tim is doing damage control, and it is what it is. And I think that it's pretty plain to see for anyone who has been paying attention and has actually listened. All right, guys, that is the stream for right now. Now, as I have been saying, this is not the normal stream I do on Saturday. My normal stream on Saturday is Socialism Saturday, in which we watch socialism videos, real stuff, not CNN socialism, not AOC, not Bernie Sanders, the real stuff. This is some of the most dystopian chaos that you have ever seen in your life, and it is real. And today we're watching a doozy starting at 6 p.m. in about 40 minutes or so. I'm going to go grab some dinner. I'm going to go something to drink. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, come back, and we are going to watch trans liberation from the mouths of communists. I promise you, this is going... If you think that what we just watched is insane, Socialism Saturday is going to blow your mind. So join me back at 6 p.m. on the channel for that. Guys, if you appreciated this reaction and my analysis of the situation, please mount the like button on your way out the door. I stream almost every single day of the week, except usually I take Sundays off, but sometimes I don't. It really just depends. So subscribe to the channel if you want. I do a wide variety of content, most of which I don't even want to have to do with this bullshit, but it seems to be something people like, so you got to give the people what they want. But we're doing schools investigation stream this week. We're going to be looking into the Fairfax County, Virginia schools. I do news, I do socialism, I do all sorts of other stuff. So subscribe if you like. I even did Flat Earth, by the way. Go watch the Flat Earth conversation from yesterday. Even if you think Flat Earth is crazy, I promise you, I understand. Flat Earth is crazy, but actually, let me show you. Go watch this Flat Earth conversation from yesterday with Jack Casey. The Flat Earth conversation will blow your mind. It was so good. It was so... I thought Flat Earth was crazy, and now I'm kind of like... I don't think we're on a disc, like, on the back of a turtle or anything, but I gotta tell you, some of the things that Jack Casey said in that stream really gave me pause. They did. In a way that I didn't imagine. There's only 1,400 views on that. Go watch it. It was really good, guys. So much better than this bullshit. But anyway, I got to go take a break. I got to go get something to eat. And I will be back in about half an hour for Socialism Saturday. So take care, guys, and we'll see you in a little bit. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you soon.